Monero Talk is sponsored by Cake Wallet, a trustless, open source wallet that gives you the keys to your crypto. Invoice, donate, and trade your Monero with peace of mind, piece of cake. And by StealthEX, an instant exchange where privacy is a top concern. Go to stealthyex.io to instantly exchange between Monero and 450 plus assets without having to create an account or register and with no limits, making StealthEX a simple way to purchase Monero with crypto anonymously. Monero Talk is also made possible from contributions by viewers and listeners like you, and supporting us is easier than ever by typing in monerotalk.crypto in your monero.com or Cake Wallet send address field to send us a tip.
All right. Good morning. Good morning.
That's a new intro. Nice one.
Yeah, I don't like the way it just cuts out at the end, though. It's like,
yeah, fair enough.
Right? Yeah, that's got to be fixed. But other than that, very nice. Very nice. How's it going, Shortwave?
Oh, you know it goes.
Man, I feel sad that Zec is pumping and XMR isn't. Yeah, that seems to be the theme around here right now. Not gonna lie. I mean,
somebody posted a chart on Nostr this morning that said pump versus adoption, and the pump chart was on the left, and it had nothing, 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 and then boom, and then the adoption chart just went slowly up and to the right. It's like I take the adoption one. I think that's a better chart, because if it's gonna pump like that, then that makes it a good chance that it's going to dump like that.
Yeah. Monero is definitely more slow and steady, right? It has like more inertia behind it. It's got a lot of weight. It's got more network effect. People are actually using it. I don't even think Zcashers would deny that. But that being said, that can change as the price continues to go up with Zcash. It's they're going to grow in adoption. This is where we need, Monero to really like stay focused, right? Keep the eye on the prize, and focus on it as being used as a tool for opting out. It's hard not to be distracted by what's happening with Zcash. I know people have conflicting feelings about it. I'm sure I see some people are out there, kind of trolling Zcash people. I think there's been a lot of silence since it's passed Monero market cap. Now I feel like it's not getting, people aren't as vocal right now. But
I think Xenu has the right idea. Is it being adopted on darknet markets? If the answer is no, then don't pay attention to it until it is.
Yeah, sure, exactly. I mean, let's be real here. Monero has more adoption, but like I'm saying, that's not written in stone. That can change, right? Just like Bitcoin used to be the coin of the dark markets, then it was Monero. Let's keep it that way.
Can it change backwards, going from a decentralized community-run effort to a corporate shill coin that has VCs? I don't think so. I think they've made too many mistakes.
I mean, what could happen is, they would start to add it, and if for some reason it adds more, convenience, usability, add some fee, if it does something that makes it easier for those that are using it in that way, then yeah, I'm not saying that's why Monero can't sit on its hands. We got to make sure that we are the best option for digital cash for people that actually want to use it.
Oh, absolutely.
For the dark markets, yes, they are the perfect example. But for anybody that actually truly wants to use digital cash, we need to make sure that they continue to choose Monero, right? We have the network effect right there, like right now, but we definitely cannot sit on our hands, right? I'm sure you agree with that.
Where is ZEC Bazaar?
Yeah, well, not yet, but hey, I'm sure they'll try that one too. And maybe we have to add Zec one day to XMR Bazaar. Let's be real about that too. Like, maybe we been thinking about adding trying to, add the Zeno stablecoin, the Freedom Dollar, as an option. I think that could add some value to the marketplace. Shortwave, what do you think, man? You're the guy to ask. You are the XMR Bazaar. I don't know what unofficial title we give you, but
I don't know, but considering I'm always messaging people and asking them to price items directly in Monero instead of fiat currencies, I don't know. I'm probably not the most unbiased person to ask.
I don't know. I just see like having that as another option, right? Privacy stablecoin. So people that do want to quote unquote be paid with the stablecoin, but it's still private. So always maintaining private, untraceable digital cash.
But a stablecoin isn't really stable. A stablecoin is just fiat currency by another name.
No, I agree with you, man. I agree with you. But I guess my bottom line is potentially starting to add other digital cash based cryptos if there's a demand for it and it meets certain criteria, right? It actually is private and untraceable because we want that to always be the component of the main component of XMR Bazaar, right? It's a platform for peer-to-peer digital cash, trades of legal goods and services. So we need to always think of it in those terms. And obviously we're married to Monero because Monero is the best thing for that. But I also want it to be a marketplace first and foremost for those purposes. And then Monero is always winning there, right?
I mean, if people want to use like Trocador and dump their Zcash on the fixed float and all those other exchanges and trade it for Monero to buy things on XMR Bazaar, go for it. Use your Trocador.
Yeah, we have that
Monero.
integrated. We have that integrated in there for sure. But to base layer, I think it could be cool to add a stable, a quote unquote private stable coin. I don't know. I'm considering this.
Yeah, I'm not going to give my opinion because I'm not the most unbiased person in the world here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like it doesn't, Monero is always there, right? So it's just an option. It's not like it takes away from anything, right? So, and then if it doesn't get used or whatever, it's stupid, then remove it. But I'm open to experimenting with things that, as long as they check all the boxes, potentially adding them as an additional base layer payment on XMR Bazaar. So there's no fees. You're not going through an exchange. It's truly peer-to-peer. Obviously, Monero is that the reason why XMR Bazaar has gotten traction is because Monero works so well as peer-to-peer digital cash. Like, they tried it before with Bitcoin. It didn't work. Open Bazaar didn't work. The transaction fees were too high. Monero works as a base layer currency for actually, running marketplaces. That's amazing. But, so maybe we consider if we think there's other tools that have communities that go along with them and the people that are going to add to the marketplace, I would be, I'm open to that. So I don't know if are you open to that concept? I know you price everything in Monero, you see the world in Monero, but do you also just see it from a standpoint of trying to build the best possible marketplace?
I mean, yeah, sure, but I don't see where many of these other communities have much traction, like Freedom Dollar. How many people are using?
Doesn't have any traction.
Using Freedom Dollar?
No, it doesn't have any but it's like that would help give it traction. And then the idea is it's more so the people receiving payment, right? They may want to receive something stable, right? Not everybody's thinking like we don't want to eliminate those that would participate in a digital cash marketplace otherwise, but are need something stable, right? Because they're selling something, they need to make sure that they receive, and I know where you're at with that.
If you need it,
but I'm saying not everybody else is at that same.
If you need a stable fiat price, use the 6-month moving average. That's what the averages are there for.
I'm just saying, I'm thinking in terms of growth, man, like trying to get users that are into these agorist ideas. They would identify with wanting to sell things on a marketplace and receive digital cash, but maybe they want to receive the stable version because they're selling. They don't want to take the risk, right? They're selling something they can't risk the the price changing swiftly.
Average.
Yeah. Okay. This guy. He's purist. Shortwave is the XMR Bazaar purist. Monero purist, really. All right, so let me go ahead and pull up. I don't need to pull it up. I don't want to waste too much time. So we have Spirobel, who's going to be our special guest today. I don't want to waste his time. It's getting late where he is. I also don't want to waste Bawdy's time because normally he does price first, but I'm going to bring Spirobel up first. So we'll go ahead, we'll bring him up, and then we will do price report, and then I guess I will do news today.
Bawdy, while Spirobel's working, you can you can get some eggnog.
What is that?
While we have Spirobel up doing his talking about whatever he's going to talk about, and Bawdy can go get himself some eggnog.
Okay, wait, why eggnog? What's the...
Because eggnog is delicious and should be worshipped.
Okay. Is this some internet meme that I'm not aware of, or
no.
Are you just starting one now?
No, I just absolutely love eggnog. Go ahead and bring Spirobel up.
I love eggnog too, man. Do you make like homemade eggnog? Like
no.
You whip the eggs and like the raw eggs? And
I've never done that. I've thought about it, but I've never actually done it.
Yeah. We need somebody on XMR Bazaar selling really good eggnog, and they'll ship it within the 50 states.
Priced directly in Monero.
Somebody get on that. 'Tis the season. This would be, I'll happily advertise it on here on the show. Somebody get on that. All right, without further ado, let me go ahead and run the guest segment. It's always hard to find these. I don't know why. Where is it? Oh, because this is the Monero Talk videos. Hold up. Here we go. Oh, there we go. All our branding changed. We're on the Monero Talk branding instead of the Monerotopia branding. So let's go. Bop. So, I guess it did play. So it played the Monero Talk intro. That's why you're like, oh, it's a different intro. Here we go.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
All right, Spirobel, what's going on, man?
Hey, doing good.
Yeah. It's been a crazy day for me, as usual. Trying to juggle a lot over here, but the show will always go on. Monerotopia has been pretty consistent. We've had you up here, I think, a couple times, right, Spirobel?
I think I was one time in the guest section of viewers on stage section or something like this.
Why don't you go ahead and give a quick intro for those that aren't aware of you or what you do for the Monero community, things you're working on?
Yeah, I'm coding stuff, and I'm also writing like articles on Monero.Town.news. And I recently wrote an article there on scaling, like the topic of scaling in general, because I think that like the recent price increase in Zcash came from like a very concerted effort to push this narrative around this new scaling stuff that they want to try. And I think that it's basically mostly misinformation what they spread. And I wanted to give people like a more basic understanding of like what the real bottlenecks are for scaling, because they make it seem like it's something that is limited by state contention. And I just fundamentally disagree with this. And maybe we can just go through this article a bit, and maybe you guys did you read the article or did you see it?
I did see it. I haven't had. I did a quick scan of it. Well, let me bring it up. Do you have it? Can you share your screen?
I can't. I can't share the screen. Maybe you can just bring it up on your screen. It's easier.
Yeah, let me try to get it. Hold up.
I've never heard of this site, but Monerotopia.news. I'm looking at that now as we speak, actually.
It's the latest article, the bottleneck. It's called the bottleneck.
Wait, what is? Oh, sorry. What is the website? It's Monero.Chan.
Monerotopia.news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, hold up. Let's get it up on stage. Bam. Okay. So yeah, so you wrote this article basically about what Zcash is proposing as their scaling solution, right?
Yes. And I mean, it's also more about scaling in general, because I think it's like it's a very fundamental topic that I think everybody should understand. Like in the same way that people understand like the idea that, okay, a car has like miles per hour. Like everybody understands this. Like even like you don't need to be an engineer to understand this basic concept. Okay, this thing has a certain speed, and there's no like it's a real like it's a physical reality. Like it's something that you can experience, and that's something that I think everybody can learn about. And I think it should be exciting to think, okay, I can learn about this topic, and I can understand that there's something called transactions per second, and you can measure this somehow. And there's a bottleneck to it. Like, I mean, if you think about a car, for example, then you will also have like a bottleneck for how fast this car can go. Like, for example, the engine is maybe important, like how powerful the engine is. If the engine is very shitty, then it won't be able to go very far. And you don't need to understand the engine in detail. You just need to understand some very basic concept, and then you can have some idea about this whole topic.
For sure. So why don't you try to paint that picture for people? So what do you see as, and basically, lay out what you laid out here in this article. So you talk about Bitcoin scaling. I think you talk about Ethereum, right?
Yeah, and Solana as well.
Solana. So what are the different aspects that need to be considered for scaling, and what approach is Monero ultimately taking versus Zcash? Let's just get to the bottom of it, right? Because that's really where the crux of what people are interested in right now, right? Because so right now Zcash, listen, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this as well, right? Zcash is arguably beating Monero on the, in some ways on the privacy front, right? They don't have network level privacy perhaps as good as ours. They're lacking in some other respects.
I mean, even this part is debatable. I think this part is debatable in the sense that they mess up some very basic thing, like with the Sashi wallet, where they pretend like, okay, oh, this is nice, you can pay on other networks, but they all connected to the same T address, because the T address doesn't get rotated. So it's all connected to the same thing. So basically maybe they have very good underlying technology, but they mess up the UX so much that everything is connected to this one identifier that is, in this case, the T address. So, but I don't want to push back too much on this.
Yeah. So my understanding, but that's something that is going to get fixed. That's just like an implementation issue with how.
But I mean, they didn't fix this for 1 year. For 1 year, think about it. 1 year.
But it's not a Zcash protocol thing.
That's true.
Right?
You're right about this. Like, it's not a protocol thing. On the protocol thing, theoretically, they are good in the sense right now that the privacy pool is big, in the sense that, okay, you don't have decoys, you have this proof over the whole set of UTXOs. But I mean, Monero also gets this proof very soon with FCMP. So it's like, I think this whole argument is also like, I also think that it was very insulting and almost like this kind of like demoralization propaganda that is done to say that, oh, we completely ignore this research that was done, and also they slander us in a way because they say, oh, this is like drug dealer Nazi tech, but actually it's peer-reviewed research. So I'm very unhappy about it, and I was one of the people that was very like Zcash curious. Let's put it like this. I was very neutral, but this behavior pissed me off like a lot. I think it's completely unfair the way they paint this, um, but also when it comes to scaling, where they say, "Oh, this will scale to billions, billions," and then you ask, "Okay, what is the TPS? What is?" It's like asking like a car salesman, "Okay, how fast will this car go?" And the car salesman just answers, "This car can go at infinite speed. It's so amazing." And you know what the interesting part is? The interesting part is this: there was already one network that tried this. It's called Mina Protocol. And there's also some connection between Zcash and Mina Protocol in the way that the foundation director of this Mina Protocol was the foundation, like the CEO of, like the boss of the Zcash Foundation before. So they should know about this. They should know that this approach does not scale and will never scale because it's fundamentally flawed. I also recently tweeted about this again because now they're building an L2 for this Mina Protocol that is very similar to the scaling approaches that Tachyon will take now. And if you think about this, why do they need an L2 for something that scales to billions? And there's also like, there's practical data on this where you see, okay, this is the TPS, the actual TPS number is very low. So the actual miles per hour is very low for this car that they have been praising as, okay, it will be billions, you know? I mean, dude, you start to realize what's going on here.
So
like, can you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I follow what you're saying. So tell me, I mean, you're saying a lot of things though. So let's just talk about the scaling then, right? So
yeah,
what is it called? Tachyon?
Yeah, that's their new thing.
Yeah. So what are your criticisms of that? I mean, what versus what they're selling and what you think it actually is capable of doing?
The problem is they sell this as, okay, this is resolving the state contention issue because recently, like in this January, they had a conversation with the Solana people, like the Toli guy and the Mert guy, and Soko was there, and there was the Sean Bawdy, or what his name is, from Zcash, and they had this conversation, and I watched this conversation, and they talked about state contention. But the thing is that there's a fundamental difference between these smart contract chains like Solana and Ethereum and privacy-focused projects like Zcash and Monero, because the thing is, you can very quickly, basically nanoseconds, so very, very fast, you can very, very fast verify the signature of a transaction in these kind of networks. Meanwhile, in like a privacy focused network, like we are in the tens of milliseconds. So that's like an order of magnitude bigger. So you see there's a fundamental difference there. Like the bottleneck is a different one. The bottleneck on their end is, okay, the CPU needs to wait for the memory and needs to wait for, because on Solana there's all this bullshit on the layer one, like all these meme coins and all this useless status on layer one. So to verify transactions, they need to retrieve all this data, but then the CPU can very quickly verify, okay, this is a proper transaction. But in Monero and Zcash is the other way around. There it's like, okay, it's basically very quick to retrieve the data, but once you have it, then it takes like 10 milliseconds, something like this, to verify the proof. So you see, they say this because they misunderstood the Solana people and said, oh, we have this genius idea, we have this genius cryptographer to figure this out, and actually they just repeat the same mistake that Mina Protocol made. And also that like on a more general level, you could also say it's very similar to the way that the Ethereum scaling failed with the L2s, because like Ethereum also underperformed recently in the market until they changed their scaling roadmap, where they said, okay, we also want to scale the L1 again. And it's also in a way this a similar issue where you have this proof aggregation, where they try to do like this proof aggregation in front of the consensus instead of focusing on speeding up the transaction verification like we do with Monero. I don't know if it's too technical, but yeah.
So full chain membership proofs versus you know, what Zcash
Tachyon, yeah.
Versus, all right, so even versus Tachyon, with Tachyon implemented,
yeah,
which
FCMP is better.
Which transactions are faster? You know, in terms of
FCMP is better. From my point of view, it's very obvious that FCMP is better than Tachyon because look, you can read the curve trees paper and you can read the curve forest paper, because like our work, like the FCMP work, is based on what Kaya made there, is based on the curve trees paper.
Right.
And this is the state of the art. It's better than the stuff that the
I'm just trying.
doing.
Okay.
And
I'm
also
trying to
you have to
understand
consider
why it's
like,
better.
On top of this, you also have to say this: what they are doing is not even peer-reviewed research. It's just the brain fart of Sean at the moment. Nothing more, nothing less. It's just we figured this out, but actually, it's not even a paper that got published in a journal or something. So it's just really, I don't know, like when I see this narrative spread by them, I just see it as misinformation and bullshit, basically. Because like, maybe now I can dive into what you just asked. Why is it better? Because batch verification is faster, because that's ultimately the bottleneck, because like you have the nodes and they can verify transaction batches, and that is the bottleneck for what the throughput is of the whole system. And the genius part about the curve trees paper is that it figured out like a way to optimize this batch verification. And you can see curve forest, like the paper that came after that, is building on this. So we have a roadmap to increase even further on that. So the distance between us and Zcash is only widening. Like we are better than them, and it's based on peer-reviewed research.
It'd be nice to see it laid out in a digestible way of comparing Zcash to Monero, transaction sizes, like how heavy a transaction is, you know, with full chain membership proofs versus Zcash, and then once Tachyon is added, and then
that's
how
another
fast
thing. Like
the transactions.
Sorry to interject, but that's another thing with the heaviness of the transaction size. The thing is, CPUs are the bottleneck, and not bandwidth.
Really? Because Arctic mine always made it sound like bandwidth was the ultimate
that's not
bottleneck with running nodes.
That's not the case. Like you can take a look at the Reddit thread that I made about this article, and there was somebody that commented the same thing, and then we both went through the math of this, and we just realized, and I convinced this person on Reddit that was before that also thought, okay, it's bandwidth, but after that he also said, okay, I agree, you convinced me, this is actually like CPU is the bottleneck.
Bawdy's asking, can he elaborate on why batch verification is so important? Bawdy, I'm going to go ahead and bring you up if you're able to jump in, and Bawdy could obviously ask more technically oriented questions, and maybe he could also help explain to me what essentially you're trying to say here, because I'm hearing you that you know, you're saying what Monero is doing is better, but I'm not understanding the why, to be honest. But Bawdy, are you there? I don't know. He might be in the middle of doing something.
I saw like Bawdy just said that the thing about why batch verification is so important.
Yeah,
it's because that is the bottleneck. That's simply the bottleneck. Because I mean, maybe we could talk about this more concretely. Like if you think about, okay, we have a node in front of us.
What is Tachyon proposing to do exactly, though? I'm missing what their solution is.
It's what they are proposing is that they basically say, okay, the issue is state contention, and we basically move everything out of band, So it's very similar to the pitch of Mina protocol. Their pitch was, okay, we make the smallest the smallest blockchain ever. We just roll up all the state, we aggregate all the proofs, and then the blockchain size is only 22 kilobyte, and it always stays like this because it always gets rolled up. But it's optimizing completely for the wrong thing. You can see also my latest tweet I made about the Mina protocol.
So you're saying like with we don't have a block size problem. We could we have the nodes will be able to run that. That's fine. It's more of a computational problem when transactions are being sent, right? How much computation is needed to send those transactions? Yeah. Correct? Is that
exactly
right?
Exactly.
And you're saying Monero arguably has advantages there versus Zcash, and Tachyon doesn't even confront that issue at all.
Yeah, they go down completely the wrong path, because maybe we should really talk about this very concretely. Like, if you think you have a node in front of you, like, what is the expensive part? Do you think it's the hard drive? Do you think it's the CPU, or do you think it will be the network connection? That is the question.
If I understand correctly, that balance is changing specifically because of FCMP, right? Like the verification time goes up significantly from where we're at currently with ring signatures. That goes up significantly with FCMP, correct? So that what you're saying is that maybe it used to be bandwidth, but it's definitely now CPU.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's absolutely the case. Like, because you have to imagine, like, you have to prove over all this large set of outputs that you are a member in the set. And the thing is that, again, I can just repeat myself there. It's like what we are building on is the state of the art of the literature. The thing is that Zcash, like, they have not even published anything. They just said, oh, we have this genius idea, but they went down completely the wrong path, and then they shilled the stuff to the moon. But ask them, nobody even asked them what the fucking TPS is. It's so funny. Like, they don't have benchmarks, they have nothing. And even like when Vlad, I looked at the interview with Vlad and like this annoying guy. Like, he talked for 3 hours, for 3 fucking hours. He talked with Sean, and they said, oh, what a Superman, like, there's some Superman backstory, like this completely cringe behavior. And he not even once in these 3 hours asked him, okay, what is the TPS going to be? It's like he's trying to sell a car and he didn't ask how far is this thing going to go, like, in 3 hours. It's just like, I don't know.
What kind of TPS can we hope for from FCMP? I know it's a little bit variable because, it depends on how the batching works out, but what kind of TPS could we expect?
I mean, the thing is, if you look at like what we are doing, you can take a look at the benchmarks that are right now published. Because you can look at the fee market proposal GitHub. There you have the benchmarks for how much one transaction takes to verify. And based on this, the fees are deduced, and it's like and you can see that in the paper, it's like it goes down even further. And Kaya also talked about this, and he said like one transaction is like 10 milliseconds. And then you can just do the math backwards from there and think about, okay, how many can we expect like one node to realistically deal with? And I would say right now, like, you can do maybe, like, I recently ran like the FCMP verify benchmark on my computer here, and I got like you run like 100. I got like 100 transaction in 86 milliseconds, and I'm not even sure if that's even like the most optimized way yet. So you see, like, if we would say one node has 10 cores, we would already get into this range of like like 1,000 TPS or something. Like you see, this is like the thing, like the expensive part, but it would maybe be too much. Where you say like, okay, one core, like one CPU with 10 cores is maybe too expensive. But you see, like people expect, okay, the expensive part will be the hard drive, but I mean, you can get like 10 terabytes for $100. So actually, the expensive part of the node, like when you think about the node, which node do we have in front of us? It will be, yeah.
Okay, so I have a question. So your average node, if I go to Walmart right now and I pick up a computer for say 0.2 Monero that has like an AMD, your typical consumer AMD processor and hard drive, what kind of TPS could I expect to get out of that? A couple hundred, 1,000? What kind of number?
Bro, where are you getting this $60 computer at Walmart from?
I said 0.2 Monero.
Yeah, that's like $60 or sorry, $70 right now.
2 Monero, my bad. My bad.
There you go.
I mean, you can think about, you can say, okay, roughly like 100 TPS per core.
Okay, so my computer has 16, I think it's virtual cores, so I think it would have 8 physical cores. So would it be physical or the
yeah, so maybe like 800, but I think actually I think we should probably, because we are not even in the stage, and there's so many ways to optimize the stuff. Like there's so many ideas around, okay, how do you make the experience better? Because like if you guys maybe, like how many of you have used Solana before? Like you can just try this out and like how it feels. It feels very similar to using like some kind of centralized exchange or something. And this kind of feeling that, okay, this can be instant, it can feel very fast. So there are so many ways. It's basically an engineering problem to make it better. And it's not really about this weird proof aggregation stuff. And I'm not a Solana fan, by the way. You can read the article. I say not good things about Solana there.
One thing I would pile on is that Antoli or Anton, I don't remember his name. I might have blocked him by now. That guy was just straight up lying about stuff. Like he was definitely like, he definitely has some high level of lingo. I don't know how much he actually understands about the cryptography at a base level, but he understands the lingo enough to make it sound like he knows what he's talking about. But then I was listening to him like say basic stuff about the network that any of us would know. Like if you studied a little bit, you would know. And he was just lying. Like he was just straight up lying. And so I was like, okay, I got it. This guy's shtick is just to get out there.
I mean, maybe many people like for example, Toli has like a background in poker. Like they all, like these VC people also have background in poker. Like they will obviously trade against you. Like they will sell you some bullshit and then trade against you. That's what I saw in this community, and I don't think it's cool. Also, when you look at this whole like proof of history thing that he came up with, it was also completely like, it's just nonsense. And they migrated away from it now. So shows that it was not the holy grail that it was promised as.
Hey, that research paper you mentioned earlier, can you share that? Could you put that in the comments? Like just
you mean like the curve trees, or what do you mean?
Yeah, the curve trees paper, because you're saying that's kind of like the foundation of what Zcash used, but then they developed on top of that, but they didn't publish their.
No, we are based on curve trees. They are based on Tachyon, or they are based on ORCAD, and they are now trying this Tachyon thing, which is only a few blog posts by Sean. Like there's no benchmarks or anything, but there's also a paper that compares curve trees versus ORCAD. Like that compares the different
Could you
speeds.
do you have those links handy? Could you share them?
Yeah, I can do this.
Spirobel, what do you think of discussion of Zcash potentially moving to proof of stake? Isn't that being discussed?
Yeah, this is also the thing. There's like a civil war going on between. Basically, like if you look at Suko is doing, like together with this other guy, this Jason McGee. Suko and Jason McGee run this Shielded Labs company, and they do Crosslink, which is like some research into finality layer proof of stake stuff. And they are basically getting deprioritized now by Tachyon. Because like Mert like went out and started chilling this Tachyon thing together with Sean, and then he started to like, you can really feel how they battle each other. Like you can see, like, I can maybe share this link also, where they start to frame this as, and you can really feel like there's some power play going on. Like they basically invaded this ecosystem and now basically sideline people like Zuko and this Jason McGee guy, because like now their thing is deprioritized because they built all this hype and narrative around this Tachyon scaling thing. And just maybe to circle back for this for a second, I think we should go towards thinking more rationally about this. Think more about, okay, we have a node there. How many TPS can we do per core? Like this kind of thinking is what we need. And not this kind of, oh, there's this massive scaling ideas that don't work in practice. And yeah, that was the part about
interesting. So you're saying this Tachyon thing kind of came out of nowhere, and it's being pushed in
my view, this started when I first saw,
like Zuko isn't behind it. He's not.
Zuko is not behind it. It's Sean.
Really?
And like you can look at the conversation between Toli, Mert, Zuko, and Sean, where they talk about the scaling stuff. This was in January of this year, and this is where this Tachyon thing came from. And the thing is, it's a very big change to the network. It's so fundamental. It's not even possible to just with the blockchain state and the seed phrase alone recover the funds, because it moves everything out of band.
For the nerds in the audience, can you go into a bit more detail? Like, what exactly is Tachyon and why is it so dubious? Like, what are the more specific mechanisms there?
It's because, like, I mean, first of all, it's just blog posts at the moment. There's no benchmarks, and the thing is that it leads to a lot of centralization in a way, because it moves the proof generations to this oblivious thinking service. This is what they call it, because you need to basically continuously, like with this kind of system, you need to continuously prove that you don't have already spent a node. So there's some server with very good hardware needs to always aggregate this proof, and that leads to lots of centralization. It's very similar to this Mina thing, because they also build like this L2 now, where because when you want to deploy a smart contract on this Mina protocol thing, then you need to run your own infrastructure to do this proof aggregation. And it's very similar. Like if you look at the article, at the middle of the article, you can see this toll booth and highway comparison. And basically what they're doing is, okay, they put like another toll booth in front of the system and create this kind of, just think of this as like the point where the proofs get aggregated. And I just think this is very questionable. And there's also like if you look at the Tachyon thread on the Zcash forum, you can see there's the Y Wallet author is also asking, like, okay, is concerned about this concept. Okay, is the user now responsible for keeping up with the transactions, like saving all the transactions, because otherwise you maybe not be able to recover your funds if you don't have the transactions anymore. It's like it's very dubious at the moment.
So you're saying if this service or server or whatever freezes, then the blockchain is toast, like no one can recover their funds?
I mean, in practice, probably yes, because I mean, the thing is, if you stop running the infra, then I mean, theoretically, you can, as a user, you can still recover, but it would be lots of effort, you know? Like if you look at the Mina protocol, like I tweeted about this, like about this L2 thing. and like they have a short video where they explain what's going on. It's like 2 minutes or something. And they said, oh yeah, the people complained that you have to run all this info if you just want to deploy the smart contract. And they also looked a bit into like how to do these smart contracts on this Mina thing. And it's basically you need to be very careful to reduce the state, otherwise the throughput suffers. You know, there's no free lunch anywhere. So, and it's like it's unlikely that a user would be able to come up with like this infrastructure to do this proving when they're used to being able to just use their phone. So it sounds very much like centralization to me. I don't know what you guys think.
So it is doable, but it's just that it's so hard to do that most people will never go about actually doing it or have the resources to do it. That's not great at all.
I mean, it's also similar to like because there was the base, like when AWS went down, and then base, like base, like this
the Ethereum
LG, yeah, this thing went down, and somebody paid like $70, and usually like when you use base, then you get the fees back. You know, there's some like so that is very cheap to use. But the thing is that you have like this forced inclusion on the L1, and somebody tried it and paid like a huge amount of fees. So it's a similar situation there. That's also why I talk about it in this way. That okay, the L2 scaling roadmap of Ethereum is a similar failure of trying to aggregate stuff in front of the consensus, and it's just like okay, how does this look like in practice? And it's basically balkanizing the network into these different subsections where the liquidity is stuck, and this game has been played already. You know, like they tried it so many times in so many different ways, but crypto just like they just fill it in a new, slightly different way. And
Spirobel, what do you think Monero should be focused on right now to stay ahead of Zcash to continue to win? What should the Monero community be doing? What should Monero developers be doing?
I think just keep the energy high and try to like, I mean, for us, it's just like an engineering problem to optimize this and make the user experience better. And I think people that are maybe not as technical, what they can do is just inform people in Zcash about this and tweet at them and say, okay, I don't like the CIA, guys. I really don't like the CIA because I mean, there's another deeper layer to this as well, because the thing is that this Mert guy, you know, like he invested in something called Arcium, which they plan to be like the privacy solution for Solana. And the interesting thing is that they have direct investment from In-Q-Tel. And In-Q-Tel, if you don't know about this, you look it up. It's like the CIA venture funding arm. And I think personally that normalizing this kind of bullshit is extremely toxic to privacy technology because it damages the trust in this technology. If you have the CIA directly on the cap table of these companies.
Hang on. Let me make sure I heard that correct. I'm sorry to interrupt. Let me make sure I heard that correctly. Who's In-Q-Tel is currently funding who exactly?
In-Q-Tel, like you can take a look at my Twitter account. I posted in detail the proof for this. It's like it's very obvious like what's going on here. Like this Mert guy invested in this company that is directly co-invested with In-Q-Tel. And they try to use Suko as like a way to gain credibility for this bullshit. And I mean, you can just look at my tweets. You can look at all the details. Yes, all of this is public information. It's not some conspiracy bullshit. It's very, very obvious what's going on here. And
so the new faction, the Tachyon guys, are effectively investors and funded by In-Q-Tel.
Let's put it like this. They have no problem co-investing together with In-Q-Tel, and this should tell you everything. Like, I mean, if you like if you see Arcium has invested in this Infa company, and Infa tweeted about, oh, we have this partnership with Intel. Like, imagine how fucking crazy it is to do it like this openly. It's not even like some secret deal or something. No, this is completely in the open.
So you're saying that the guys, just repeat, the guys that are basically spearheading the Tachyon thing have also accepted money from this company that is very clearly
look at the reply
of
this tweet. Look at the reply of this tweet. I put in the proof, like, is in the second, because I don't pay for this Twitter shit, so I can only post a certain amount of like the first reply of this tweet. Like scroll down there. You see proof of the info connection of Incutel. Go back. There's like the No, it's in the like the you have to switch back. No,
Matt Henderson.
No, this Matt Henderson guy is probably an AI bot. I have some DMs with him. Like, if you go here, the second, proof for. No, you clicked again on the quote tweeted thing. It is the first reply. You see proof for info. Yeah, if you click on this link, you see like the first thing. Click on the first thing, info.io, and there you see we are thrilled to announce strategic partnership with Incutel. You see this?
Yeah.
It's very obvious. It's not like I'm not making this up. It's very obvious, you know? And then you can go back. You can also Google more about this. Like they got investment from Incutel.
I mean,
and now,
but now what
click on the second. Click on the second thing. Click on the second thing. You see there's the proof for the Arcium connection to Infa. So this Arcium guy goes on some kind of fake CNN type of thing where he explains how amazing this Infa thing is that they just bought. That is also using TEs, like trusted and execution environments, but maybe it's a separate topic we can talk another time about. But the thing is, we have very clear evidence that there's a connection between Arcium and Incutel. And at the same time, this Mert guy is an investor in this company. They plan to push this as the Solana privacy layer. And now this guy says, oh, Suko is the best Zcash all the way. And they are taking over the ecosystem with this Tachyon push and pushing out Suko and the Shielded Labs people. And
what is his role? What is his role in Tachyon? What is his role?
His role is basically the hype man. Like he's just posting, oh, we're hiring people and for this amazing Manhattan project. And by the way, you know, this crosslink thing from Suko is deprioritized because this project is more important. Because, you know, both of these things are very big changes to Zcash. Like on the one hand, you have Tachyon, and on the other hand, you have crosslink. And you cannot do, like on a software project, you cannot do big changes like this both at the same time, because they will like you cannot have like branches that diverge so much, you know, and have them progress at the same time, you know.
Now let me kind of be devil's advocate here too. You know, like so what? There's a connection. I mean, you know, he's some tech guy with skills that once did work with the CIA. Does that mean, you know, people contribute to, for all we know, the CIA is contributing to Monero, right? Like, you know, being devil's advocate here, like that's Does that?
But I think there's a difference here, because if you have the CIA on the cap table, if you accept direct investment, it's a different thing.
Well, how are they investing? You think so you think they're like part of the founders of Zcash type?
I mean, you can know. I don't think any kind of deep conspiracy. I'm just quoting public information about Infer, the company that Arcium bought, that has an Incutel connection, that is publicly documented, that they publish themselves on their Twitter.
Okay.
And that's the one thing. And the other thing is that there's the direct connection between Infer and Arcium. that they invested in this company, they bought this company. So this is very obvious. All of this is very public information.
Do you want to play this? You want to play this video?
I mean, you guys can look at this in more detail. Maybe I mean, he's also getting late. It's already 12 o'clock. But I mean, the thing is that I'm not making up some big conspiracy. I'm just saying, okay, we have a guy here from the Solana camp that needs credibility as like a privacy guy, you know, and he goes to Suko and says, "Oh, Suko is the best. We become best friends now." And they go to Dubai. They do this big party there together. They hold this big speech as Token 2049 to announce this Tachyon thing. And now he starts to do this power play where he says, "Okay, Tachyon, this is so amazing. We will deprioritize the other project." You know.
Why were they even in Dubai? That made no sense to me.
Yeah.
That's when the Zcash stuff, the pump began, right? We had these corny videos coming out of Dubai where Monero is illegal, and I suppose Zcash is illegal too.
Yeah.
So like it made no. That was bizarre to me. These super corny like crafted videos that were coming out with like Zuko and like Cybertrucks
and weird.
And yeah. And it was coming out of Dubai where Zcash is illegal.
I was neutral about Zcash until then. I was very neutral. But when I saw this, I thought, okay, something's going on here. This is absolutely not cool. And I mean, also
they're pumping their coin. You know, they're trying to promote their coin, right? It's like in their mind, it's like, all right, we finished doing all the technical improvements. Now let's market it. It's obviously has worked, right? The pump
for me, this looks like. For me, this looks very much like, okay, Suko is like this kind of naive guy that is basically being used by these people to gain credibility for their bullshit. That's what it looks like to me. And if he doesn't speak out against it, I have a problem with this. Because, I mean, he follows the guy on Twitter. He's like, he's cool with this person that accepts direct money from the CIA. And I don't think that's okay. I think this is like damaging to privacy technology, to civil society. It's like, and that's why I like Monero, because we have this inkling here of like a society that is free from these kind of spooks that are spooking around, you know. And they have no problem. They have no problem to mingle with these people in Washington and whatnot. And I think they maybe did a little bit too much mingling. And I want to see Suko now denounce this guy and say, I think this is shit what they do, and they shouldn't. And in-hotel investment is not something that should be tolerated.
It's not easy to do that when you're so. It's not easy to do that when you're so heavily corporately sponsored. Like Zcash was 100% a big corporately sponsored chain. They can't go against their corporate.
But I mean, the thing is, I would even go as far as to say, like, I make a difference between like some government grant, even though I think it's bad and it shouldn't. For a project also accepted government funding, but a research grant is a different from, okay, we take money from this organization and put them on our cap table and give them direct control over our company. And at the same time, what's even more funny is push TEs, like, which is a technology that is the most anti-freedom thing that you can imagine. Like this stuff is crazy. And it was recently broken. It was proven that it's complete snake oil. It's bullshit. It's just like some fake privacy stuff that is used as, this is privacy 2.0. This is the new privacy to join us, you know. But actually, it's broken, and it's.
In other words, this is privacy.
That leads to the dangerous situation where something is sold as privacy that is not actual privacy, you know. It just it puts up this very thin veneer, and in reality, it's just completely transparent and giving your data to the CIA, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what data are they getting? You're saying with Tachyon, like, so what do they get? What data are they obtaining?
No. The thing is, they don't obtain like the thing is Tachyon. and all this Zcash cryptography technology is used as a way to promote their stuff, because they can make an association there. We're cool with the Soko guy, and we build this cool privacy stuff that is actually okay. This is based on Mars. That's okay. But what they now push is say, oh, this is privacy 2.0. It's based on these trusted execution environments that are basically a small part inside etched into the silicon. And it's something that supposedly nobody can control. But I mean, there's a private key etched into the stuff. And it was also recently proven that this is completely broken, this kind of concept of saying, okay, we have this kind of secure zone where everything is private inside this chip. And
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know how TE pilled are you guys? Like, how do you know about the stuff? Or
you have to teach us. We're looking for you to teach us, man. Yeah, you tell us.
I mean, honestly, I think there's probably I should recommend someone else to do this, because there's a very, very good video on this. It's on this topic, and it's about like it's like a speech from 10 years ago even, because it goes for a very long time. This theme of trying to basically control computation, like they want to basically, Android now tries to not let you install apps on your own phone. Apple does this as well, and it goes further than this. Like they also try to build parts into the chip that you cannot control.
Okay, so
as a user, like as a person who bought the thing, and that's this concept of trusted execution environments. But it's
so Spirobel, let me see if I understand this, because you're very great here, but it seems to be very technical. So let me see if I understand this as a non-technical person. Solana wants a privacy layer 2, I'm guessing. And so this person that wants a Solana privacy layer 2 is pairing up with Zcash to try to get the credibility of Zcash and Zuko. And these people are funded by the CIA. Therefore, by them partnering with Zcash, Zcash is being indirectly funded by the CIA. And
no. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Zcash is funded by the CIA. I'm saying that they are getting infiltrated by people and getting used to gain credibility for a piece of technology that is being presented as like privacy 2.0, like something supposedly better than what we already have, but it's actually worse. It's way worse.
And which piece of technology is that?
It's called trusted execution. Look it up. TE.
The trusted execution environments. They're like little isolated. They're like little isolated bits in your like Intel or AMD processors that are supposedly black boxes, but have been broken in the past. I've heard of these.
Yeah. Right. And so the Monero community was even debating using them recently, right? For some aspect, right? I guess when we were talking.
You can also talk to Arcmine about this. Like he's also very against TE. It's
okay.
Very anti-freedom.
No, but how does the T stuff relate to? But that has nothing to do with Zcash. It just has to do with
it has nothing to do with Zcash.
Yeah. Okay. So, but is there some theory there that these guys are trying to basically embed something into Zcash, where you're saying it becomes...
No, I don't think this.
Yeah,
I don't think this.
Right. Okay, and
they just try to use them for credibility. That's the play. Right. Okay. Because they have this vision of, we say that Zcash is this amazing store value, which is like the dumbest thing you ever heard, but I think Monero is a good store value, better than this. It's more decentralized. It's more community driven. But anyway, like I think the thing is that encrypted Bitcoin, that was their thing. And the thing is that they basically, their vision is, we push this thing now, we push Zcash now, we gain the credibility, and then we push this privacy 2.0 thing for Solana and say, privacy 2.0 is better than 1.0, right? Just use this thing. Don't worry, they trust the TE.
How do you see the private digital cash wars playing out with, Monero versus Zcash? How do you see things ultimately playing out?
I think their thing is going to fail completely, because I mean we are aware of this right now, and I think the market will become aware of this as well. What's going on here? And not just, and I mean not just this crazy CIA stuff. That's just the icing on the cake. That's just the icing on the cake. Even the basic scaling promises were bullshit, and that will become apparent. And then you have the big ego people from Solana, and also a little bit big ego from Soko, and then there will be some drama. Pretty sure.
So the scaling issues, this potential, this basically co-opting via the implementation of Tachyon. What else do you see as the major, criticisms or things that will come out?
I think we should just forget about stuff completely, because I think also with the Zcash, the Sashi wallet cross swap thing, like this is the most outrageous thing. Like you can also look up the topic of this was like, there's a topic about this thing on the Zcash forum, and they talked about it since January as well, like beginning of the year, that all of the swaps are linked to the same T address, because the T address is never rotated. So it's basically like using Bitcoin. It's basically like using a transparent chain. Like you have to think about how fucking crazy it is to make this such an obvious mistake, and then go, oh, look at this amazing technology. Everybody can just use this as a privacy condom and pay on Solana and pay on. This is so. I think it's. I mean, I'm not saying that there's some conspiracy and they did this on purpose, but actually maybe, I mean, it's just, I don't know, like you would think they would be a bit more sophisticated,
Let me bring up some of these XMR chats so I don't miss them. Neil is tipped 42 cents. Maybe the reason we don't know if the CIA funds Zcash devs or not is probably because they pay them in Monero. LOL. maybe. You got a shout out. Kev tipped $1.37. Hello, Spirobel. And then Neil is also very generous, tipped $4.22. I wrote about it recently on the OPSEC Bible. Problem is literally anyone could be a Fed. Either they tell you they are, or you have to look at what the guy does to know he's one. Or the guy literally does all to gain your trust. Zcash is full of red flags.
Yeah,
right.
That's so true.
I mean, Monero could be open to those issues as well, potentially. Obviously, we're not.
But I think that
we're more grassroots.
You know what?
We're more, yeah.
I think we are immunized against this kind of bullshit. I think like the community is so like we have this kind of anarchist mindset, and I think we should focus more on ourselves, because I think we should sometimes just say, okay, I hate the CIA on Twitter, and just say, okay, Zcash, just fuck off with your bullshit. Mm-hmm. But other than that, we should focus on ourselves, and we should focus on like what our vision of the future is, and on our technology. And yeah,
that might be a good segue into. I'm curious, what are you working on lately? What kind of projects, Spirobel, are you working on lately?
Spirobel, are you there?
Yo, I'm still there. Just focus on our own vision and on building the community, like creating the energy, and not getting drawn into this bullshit, because it's going to fail anyway.
Any chance we see you at Monerotopia?
Yeah, maybe. Why not?
Oh, that'd be
awesome. I didn't make plans yet.
Okay. Maybe we get you on a panel or something. Maybe or even running a panel, if we could do some kind of debate between the various technologies, depending on who we have there. I would like to. I was talking to somebody recently. I won't announce yet, but I guess I could say so. The guy who recently pitched Greece. I don't know. What do you think of Greece, Spirobel?
I don't know. Like, I honestly don't think much about this kind of stuff. I think we can scale the L1 so much that it probably doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because we just need to think about it more carefully, and it's just an engineering problem to make it a better experience.
Hey, am I mistaken, or were you working on some JavaScript libraries for Monero? Like, I remember at some
TypeScript. TypeScript. Yeah.
TypeScript, yeah. Okay, so you are working on TypeScript libraries. Is that with like kind of a goal of helping to facilitate like web app wallets? Or maybe not web app, but you know, like
in general,
plugins.
make it more accessible and more safe, like the whole, and also more modular. Because right now, for example, the idea that okay, you need to sync first, like you need to sync your wallet before you can build a transaction. Like there's so many details like that are basically just accidental implementation details of Wallet 2 and like Wallet 2.c++, like the thing that is currently below a lot of wallets. And to basically make this whole thing more modular means that it can create a better user experience and can also become more safe because you can use like one piece of one WebAssembly container to do the syncing, and then you have your view key in there, and then you have another WASM container where you do the transaction signing with the spend key, and so there's more compartmentalization in there. So this is the kind of stuff I'm working on.
It's one of the big things that I feel like is really important. Like for example, Solana, MetaMask, Phantom, right? They've got like you just install the plugin or the on Firefox or Chrome or whatever, and then suddenly you've got just immediate rapid access to spending your funds on whatever website. You can integrate that into all kinds of stuff, and I feel like Monero doesn't have that, so like it's hard. It's like it's not that hard, but there are a couple extra steps, and it does cause friction.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm working on. Like I'm basically building this kind of Web3.js. Like I mean, this sounds shitty, but there was like when MetaMask became popular, it was not just MetaMask; it was also this library on the other side. So you could basically decouple the need to make a new wallet app for everything from making some kind of innovation like Uniswap or like these kind of things. And that's what I'm trying to basically facilitate in Monero, so that we can have these kind of apps where you can connect your wallet and and it's easier for developers to try new things and build out the stuff. Because right now, if you want to use Havinoreto or you want to use some other swapping thing, you always need to install like a new app. And what if you just have you just need to connect wallet and then you can try something new without installing things.
Yeah,
so
it
will accelerate the innovation. And also, I think there's a lot of stuff to be done around like how to do this privately, because Ethereum really messed this up, I think, in many ways, because they inject this JavaScript thing in every page, so your privacy is harmed. And I'm trying to engineer it in a way that makes it so there's no information shared, and makes it so that not every website can see all your funds, or even know that you have this kind of thing. Yeah.
I know it's maybe slightly a fool's errand, but like what's the state of that library development, and how much longer do you think until you would declare it like a beta ready or ready to actually start testing?
I mean, right now it can already sync stuff, but I mean, it's still like a little bit bare bones in the sense that the wallet API is not like Wallet 2, where you have like this black box and you basically it handles everything for you. It's more like, okay, you need to stitch this together yourself, but it also has the benefit that it's more flexible. So right now you can also already use it for syncing and finding outputs on the chain. And I'm like today I was working on implementing the decoy selection stuff and building a transaction basically. And yeah, so this stuff will be done soon. I mean, I'm just working on it. I don't really think about like a time frame. I'm just working on the stuff that is in front of me. So
So someone
very
like me
soon.
who's like
Not,
low level JavaScript, like I've got reasonably good architectural thinking, but I'm not I'm not good in the language itself. But like, will I be able to grab those libraries and just start like slapping stuff together and like, implementing my own wallet, like hypothetically just playing around, in JavaScript?
yes,
Right on.
yes. I will also publish more guides on this and more like tutorials, like this kind of stuff and documentation. So it should be possible. And I mean, we can also talk, like if you have any issue, I can just walk you through it. And yeah,
That's a game changer, man. I don't think people understand how important that is, but like just the simplicity of getting on to your browser, installing some, browser app, right? Some wallet, and then just going to town, and like the ability of developers and service providers to just be like, yeah, let me grab this JavaScript library, integrate it into my website. Like that's massive. That is a huge, huge thing. And we've really like, I underestimated. I didn't understand how important that was until I really started understanding the Solana ecosystem. But then you play with Phantom Wallet. I've been using MetaMask since forever, but you see this stuff and you're like, yeah, click button, connect, spend funds. Holy shit. And it's like, okay, that's part of the reason that we don't have some extra components of adoption that we could otherwise have. So it's huge work, man. Thank you for doing all that.
Very cool.
and I mean, I should say there was also Woodser's work. He made another TypeScript library before, but the thing is, it's based around Wallet 2. So I think there's a lot to be gained from making it more modular. But I mean, obviously, there were other pioneers as well. So it's not, I don't want to take much credit for this. So yeah.
Spirobel, it'll be interesting to get your feedback. We're considering adding such like a web wallet to XMR Bazaar as an option. Right now people just use their wallets outside of XMR Bazaar, right? But integrating a web wallet option so people can hold Monero. And they would still be, everything would happen in the browser, similar to the way we've done with the multisig. Just curious, and obviously the features that would come with that is it'd be easier to seamlessly send tips on the forum. It'd be easier to send transactions and check out. Just curious what your thoughts are on that, given what you're working on.
Yeah, I want to I also saw like some of your people like Alia, or what her name was, like she's said something about it. Yeah, and she supported like some of the posts I made about the browser wallet and the multisig stuff, because I think it can really make your multisig escrow process, like this flow, a lot more like the user experience of this will become a lot better. And I'm happy to work with you guys to integrate it into XMR Bazaar to make this flow very smooth so people can use it more easily. Because I think actually this is like the future of finance, that people do like escrow privately. Because I mean, there's so many darknet markets and whatnot that did like some exit scam bullshit. And I think if we can make this escrow experience really good, I think think about the future. Like this is going to be like the default to do escrow, because I mean you need to have commerce, you need to build trust, you need to have some escrow thing, and maybe people will like start like these kind of escrow businesses where people because I mean, if you look at companies like Alibaba or Amazon or eBay, like it's basically an escrow business. And I think that if all of this becomes decoupled and happens on the blockchain, obviously you need privacy. So I think in the future, like this kind of UX and getting really nailing this, I think will be a very big unlock. And yeah, that's also like what I'm working on, and what drives my thinking around is how to design this library, like to make these kind of multi-sig application, like these kind of escrow-esque user experiences, make them good, like this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Very excited. Thank you for taking the time today, man. Really appreciate it. I do hope we see you at Monerotopia. That would be freaking amazing. If you want to do a talk or something, you can let me know. Be great to have you. We are already about an hour in. I do want to keep things moving. I see
Okay.
Offren jumped in back. No, please don't leave yet. Offren jumped backstage, so he might want to jump up later. But we will do price report and I guess news, and then we'll do viewers on stage, so I can bring Offren up at that time.
Yeah.
Spirobel, please, if you can stick around. No?
I mean, it's
go?
already. Yeah, I mean, it's 30 minutes after.
Let's just round. I'm kind of
starting to get sleepy.
Okay. I know I've asked you this question, I think, in various different ways, the same question, but if you can just round it out here, like because let's face it, right now, I don't know if you pull up Coin Market Cap or whatever it is, CoinGecko, Monero is sitting at a lower market cap than Zcash, right? According to you, we're still full, there should be no concerns on a technical level. Everything we're doing, Monero is certainly competing with Zcash and may even be better in ways. But what should the Monero community be focused on? And like, what do we need other than like this? What you're working on. Like, what do you see as the weak points or the points, perhaps the low-hanging fruit, things that we need to do to improve adoption, improve the protocol so adoption improves? What do we need to be focused on? If we're just ignoring Zcash, we just want to grow Monero, improve Monero. What are kind of the top things that come to mind?
I think for me, like the only thing that puts Zcash right now above the Monero market cap is that their influencers were very good and very coordinated, and they really drove this narrative, and they bull posted every single hour. Like if you look at the big Zcash guys, they bull posted constantly, and I think we just need to do the same thing. Like the people just need to start posting all the time. Just post, I hate the CIA, like some shit like this. Like you need to start to become a bit more unhinged, because I think the modern media way, like also if you look at the Zcash post, it's not like they're trying to convince anyone by trying to be like, oh, I'm this trustworthy guy. It's more like agitation propaganda, like they try to make you feel a certain way. And I think we could just do the same thing. We could just go out there and just post and be coordinated and just like push this kind of thing, because I think honestly, like right now, the only reason their market cap is currently temporarily above us is because they managed to push this fake narrative, and there's all this fake excitement for this tachyon bullshit in the chart, and obviously at some point this will deflate. But
the other really big part of
just as coordinated. We could we could push just as hard as them.
Yeah. I mean, the other big part of their narrative right now is that Zuko was, part of the original cypherpunk crowd with Satoshi, and that they've been now, working on this magical solution since the beginning, and now everything's ready, and they are as cypherpunk as can be. That's another big part of their narrative right now, right?
Yeah, I think that this is like the most absurd part, because I mean, once I started posting about the stuff with, like he unfollowed me, like because I had interactions before with Suko and they were positive. I was okay with the guy, and he just suddenly unfollowed me and stopped responding. And I think if you're a real cypherpunk, and somebody said, oh, Suko is such a cool guy, you're such a cool guy, and by the way, I accepted money from InQtel, and I have this privacy 2.0 thing to say. If you're a real cypherpunk, you would say, fuck you, like, fuck, get out of here, like you would not try to be like indirect about this thing. And yeah, I think this narrative, like this whole picture that they paint of themselves is completely fake. And we just need to point this out. We just need to say, okay, if you're a real cypherpunk, speak out against the CIA and the corruption of the privacy space and the crypto space in general by these spooks. It's not that hard, Mm-hmm. It's easy. Yeah.
All right, man. We can leave it at that. If there's anything else, anything else you want to make sure you get out?
No, I think I let it all out now. Yeah.
Great job.
Very relaxed
now. I know. I've been trying to get you up on stage for a while too, because I also wanted to get your take on the proof of stake, finality layer stuff when that drama was going on.
Maybe another time.
Yeah, we don't need to get into that now. Thank you so much, Spirobel. Greatly appreciate you taking the time. And yeah, once again, hope to see you. Let me know if you are for sure going to be down there, and if you do want to speak or something, let me know, and we could make sure to officially make you a part of it. But without further ado, I think it's time to move on to price report.
Okay, bye-bye, guys.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Here we go. Here we go.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exolix, a privacy-focused, non-custodial instant crypto exchange. Go to exolix.com to enjoy secure and completely anonymous swaps with no KYC or sign-up. Swap between Monero and 2,000 plus assets at the most competitive rates and with no limits. Exolix.com, your fast and secure way to privacy.
All right, Bawdy. This is a hell of a day to do price report, right? you gotta. It's the bad news has already been broken, but now you can give us your analysis of it.
For those that were watching, this is not unexpected, right? This is something I actually said. I informed Tux not to worry, that he had a very good chance of getting back to to levels that on his Zcash investment. Tux was ahead of the game. He was ahead of everyone, man. He had the Zcash. He bought a little bit of it, and hey, it worked out pretty good for him. But enough about.
Well,
Zcash.
I may have grabbed a little bit as well. Not with I may have grabbed a little bit as well. Like I did say, it was very easy to obtain on Coinbase, and that is an advantage.
I vote to evict Doug from Monerotopia for not being Monero purist enough. Who's with me?
I mean, if it turns into Monero eventually, why should we care, right?
No, I'm just messing around. Go ahead, Bawdy.
No, it's fine. Please, comment away. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna lay out more, obviously, of a nefarious kind of thesis here about what's going on. But one thing is certain. This playbook works, and they use this playbook all the time because it works, and they've been doing this at least since the Willy bots on Mt. Gox, but probably since the very, very beginning. But at least since those Willy bots, they pump the coin, right? They artificially pump it with the kinds of mechanisms that they have, which amounts to leverage and front running, and at this moment, Tether is like the Federal Reserve of crypto. It is no accident that the way that they do their fractional reserve scheming mirrors almost exactly the Federal Reserve and the banking system, right? So you got Tether as the Federal Reserve, and the exchanges are kind of like the banks. And they use this mechanism. They pump the coin, they shill it, and now they've got the AI, so they can really, really astroturf in ways that they couldn't do before. And then people, you get, you generate the organic interest. So we'll get to that in a second, though. That's Zcash, obviously, and we'll take a look at that chart. But here's Monero. Doug, can you maximize my charts here? Put them on the full screen. And then so okay, we're looking here at Monero, and we said last week that we're looking at a pretty good chart pattern here. Like overall, this is not bad action at all. We could even maybe try and draw some lines here. I don't know, just dubiously. Let's change that to white. Insert some racist joke there. Just kidding, guys. Okay, so we've got like this sort of ascending wedge. Probably things will sort of continue up along this wedge. This is a dubiously drawn line that I just ad hoc drew in the moment. Let's go down to the 2 hour and see if we can gain some more resolution. Effectively, this actually has a very strong reminisce of what happened before we broke out to that 400 level back earlier this year. So effectively we're pushing up against kind of this horizontal area, right? So we just drew like a certain, we just drew an upsloping line. We could also draw a horizontal area of significance here and say, hey, we are currently breaking out of the horizontal resistance. Both of those would probably be more or less valid ways to look at this, but overall, what you're looking at is chart patterns and different ways of looking at it to say, hey, we are showing strength. Monero price is showing the tendency to try and beat previous, sort of local highs. And obviously, you've got the blue bands there, right? You've got the upper standard deviation bands kind of telling the same story. So we are looking at making continued gains here. Is it going to be 10x in a month? Obviously, yes. Obviously, there's no question. There's no doubt about that. And Spirobel agrees. We, Monero to the moon here. Like in short order, you're going to miss the train, and it's probably going to be flip Bitcoin within a year, 2 maximum. All right, levity aside. This chart pattern right now looks like kind of a very kind of a similar version of what we saw before the breakout. I just wanted to show you here. So this guy right there, right, kind of like right here before the breakout. I said, hey, don't expect Monero to break out. Don't expect it to break out. And then kind of right here, we said, hey, this is actually showing some pretty big strength. And then the next thing that happened was a hack. There was a dirty hack, and people used that dirty coin Monero to wash their dirty funds. So if we break out again, if we make some other big breakout, don't be surprised if that comes along with some kind of bullshit, manufactured narrative or some quote unquote hack or whatever. Was it a real hack that happened previously? The evidence looks like yes. In terms of like their on-chain behavior, but guys, stuff can be manufactured, right? Like those kinds of things, they can. I won't get into the mechanisms, the reasonable, not crazy mechanisms by which it would be easy to make something look like a hack. Or it could just be that the hack happened, and they're like, oh, there's a hack. We could just say, hey, it's Monero, right? Like. But let's get our he's selling on some exchanges. Let's grab those funds and then let's flip that into Monero a little bit. And then we can say that the reason Monero broke out was because of a dirty hack, right? Like, so again, this is like adversarial kind of thinking. You have to be careful with this. You can't just be like, well, it makes total sense that, they would do this. Like that's not really the best way to go about like making certain judgments. But I'm just saying, if we get another big breakout here to the 400 level, back to all-time highs, 500, and it happens in short order, don't be surprised if that comes with some kind of like hack narrative or some other kind of like nonsense out in the news social sphere. But anyways, yeah, things looking good on the Monero price overall. Like steady up, steady movement up. I would really, that's a much healthier scenario to be just making slow, steady gains over time than it is to be making 10x gains in a month. That's not sustainable. The ratio is also doing pretty good. The inverse right shoulder continuing to play out as we would have hoped. So again, I do like head and shoulders kind of like is like, oh, cool. Like a note of curiosity to supplement other aspects of analysis. Right now, we are going to encounter probably a little bit of resistance in this zone. I don't know exactly how much, the markets can do their own things and surprise you as they often do. But yeah, this right here would be a spot. It's not a hard spot. Like this is not a, aha, here's the line. I'm going to get short here for the rebound.
Bawdy, this right here for us blind people.
That would be the let's see, the Bitcoin Monero ratio. I have a divisor on this. I'm retarded for doing that, but I think that is 0.03. Would that be 0.03? Let me check. Yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
At the 0.03. No, 0.003 of Bitcoin's ratio. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I talk about. Like if you're listening on the radio, you're not going to understand these charts. I'm sorry. Like the wave magic is extremely visually, I don't know. I don't want to say intense, like Mountain Dew or something, but it's these, like the wave magic has a lot of information that's hard for me to really describe with words. But yeah, so this upper. The lower standard deviation, the orange bands, this upper portion of this band structure currently sits at about 0.0033. But I'm saying that's not a hard capping level, right? You're not looking at that and saying, hey, this is the line and I'm going to get short here at this line and go for a rebound. That's not how these lines work. It gives you a zone. It tells you like, hey, here's kind of a zone, an area that you should be looking at some kind of resistance here. And that can inform your trading decisions, and often it does. Some of these features have stronger signals than others. Anyways, things looking good with the Bitcoin ratio there, and we should probably expect a little bit more bullishness until we encounter a little bit of resistance, and then we could continue to go up. Depends, maybe not. Bitcoin's still looking sluggish. We'll get to that in a second. Monero versus Ethereum continuing to do pretty good at this point. I think we should hope to expect to hit about the 0.0. I probably have a divisor on this chart as well. Well, anyways, we should continue to hit. We should hope to hit this upper standard deviation cluster, which would currently, on the ratio of Monero to Ethereum, which would currently be about 12% higher. So yeah, things looking reasonably okay there. And then the XMR dominance really is just going to be a composite of the Bitcoin and the Ethereum charts. Very similar structure you can see here. We would hope to get to this upper cluster. At the current moment, I don't think that that's in the cards immediately. I think that this band cluster, so for the XMRD chart, the blue band cluster, and you'll also notice that's coincident with the upper standard, the lower standard deviation, the orange bands, right? So overall, we're looking at some level of resistance coming up here on the ratio when it comes to Monero to the other coins. You could use that if you're a trader. You could use that to say, all right, maybe soonish, once we get another, say, 10% higher, another maybe 10% of relative overperformance, or maybe 20% overperformance to other coins. Maybe that's an opportunity to flip from Monero into some other, I don't know, probably something degenerate, maybe Zcash. I can't buy stuff that's gone up this much, guys. It's just I'm not able to do it. My sensibilities won't let me do it. It's just too much risk in my mind. There's other stuff I want to get in, like Tux did down here, right? I want to get down and like at the $40 level and be like, I don't know, fucking Zcash, whatever. They're attacking Monero. Maybe I should just like buy some Zcash for no good goddamn reason, and then just let it ride and dump somewhere up here, right? That's what you really like. That's where you make the gains. And you don't have to invest very much to do that. I don't like chasing because it's too easy. After, if my emotional state gets me into chasing, there's probably a reason, right, that I feel that way, and it's probably been manufactured, right? I'm not immune to having emotional predilections and watching something go up and be like, oh, I'm missing out. I got to get into the Zcash now. Like, I just look at my own emotions and I say, okay, that's probably a counter signal. It's a heuristic, but generally speaking, I will, especially on extreme movements. And when the market starts to get heavily lopsided after some long trend has been ongoing for a long time, I'll look at my emotional state and I'll if I'm fearful to sell, I'll be like, yeah, maybe that's a good sign that I should sell, right? Like if I got a lot of gains and I'm like, no, but I could get more, and I'm feeling greedy, right? That's a counter signal. Anyways, yeah, here's Zcash. I just want to point out a few things, guys. Let's just go here back. Let's rewind by 30 days. Or 30, what would that be? 33 days. Oh my God, 33. There's that number again. So that's 700%. That's an 8x in 30 days. Fuck you. You will never convince me that this is an organic movement. That's not to say that there isn't an organic component of this. Certainly there is, right? People chasing. Doug is a good example, right? Doug said, hey, I bought some Zcash. I assume it was probably in the last 30 days. Maybe even around this dip right here. Maybe this dip, I don't know. The point is that assets moving organically do not do 8x in 30 days out of nowhere for no fundamental underlying reasons that happened. Something like brand new that came out that smashed the market, that completely revolutionized the paradigm, yada, yada, right? Assets don't do this, especially not assets that are, how old is this? 8 years old? Right, 8-year-old assets do not do this without releasing some game-changing paradigm, disarray, whatever, blow your tits off, hop in your Jeep and drink Mountain Dew while we go waterboarding, kind of bullshit. Like that, you just don't get that, right? And then let's do another little thing. Let's just go down to here and then say, okay, in the last 2 months, slightly more than 2 months, this thing has done a 13x. So that's not organic action. And okay, if you got in on this pump and you're riding this pump up, sure enough, bro, I play the game too, right? Listen, I was a hex enjoyer back in the day. So, I will always use that to point if I'm pointing a finger at someone else, I will always use hex as my quintessential example of the 3 fingers pointed back at me. So I get it, right? Get your gains, right? No one's gonna hate on you for getting your gains, but I'm always gonna keep it real. Like even as I had Hex, I was like, yeah, it's kind of scammy, but it's gonna pump because Richard Hart had a good fucking narrative back in the day. He screwed the whole thing up. It's over now.
I've just got my big Tari bag.
So what?
I was just saying, I've just got my big Tari bag. I'm just waiting for it.
Yeah, Tari's a great play. Fucking hang on to that, man. Let it ride for a year. Let it ride for 2 years. At some point, Tari is the exact kind of coin that you would think, hey, this thing could pump 10x, right? You could get your 20, 50x out of Tari. That could happen. It's not a totally unreasonable thing to happen. If it doesn't happen in this bull market, I'm going to start to become a little bit more suspicious. But all right, so here's the Cubic chart. Cubic is not doing so great. They're currently trying to show that they can hang on to this lower resistance area, right, in that orange band. It's not a good looking chart pattern at the moment. It's not that it can't be salvaged. It's just that these orange bands are already starting to curl under just a little bit here. And if it goes any lower, that is going to be a sign of the bottom falling out on Cubic. It also will make me wonder if the bull market isn't over. I kind of feel like Cubic could, and I got to think about this some more. If any of you guys have any ideas here on this, shout out, put them in the comments, whatever. Hope you know, I never check the comments. Let's make sure. Let's see if we want to put the super chats, the XMR chats up here. We could totally comment on the XMR chats. I love his name too. If Doug is around, he could put up the XMR chat. If not, just let me know when you put that up there, and I'll read it out. Anyways, okay.
Speaking of XMR chat, just offhand, apparently they're releasing a co-host feature so that you and I, Bawdy, could be co-hosts on Doug's XMR chat or whatever, and Tux too, and that way we could have access to bring things up on screen and stuff.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, I need to be able to do that because because Doug has, he's divided in his responsibilities there, so it's not easy for him to necessarily just drop the baby and then come put up the XMR chat. Although, arguably XMR chat's more important, bro. Just kidding. Okay, so yeah, this idea, I'm going to put this idea out here. Send me an XMR chat or send out a comment. But I feel kind of like Cubic could be an important bellwether, an indicator, a heuristic of the bull market. Because for as long as the bull market is going on, they want to distract you into their Zcash or into their other fucking coins. Maybe Zcash pumpage is the replacement of the Cubic pumpage, right? Maybe they did enough with the 51% attack, the selfish mining attack that never got above 33%. Maybe they did enough with that, and so they pivoted to Zcash, and so that's the pump now. But I feel kind of like Cubic should be a representation of this bull market in the sense that they need a high price for Cubic to continue fucking, doing the selfish mining, the attack, the bullshit news. And with Cubic down here, it makes me ask, how strong is the bull market? I don't know. It's a small side. It's a side thought, right? But it's something that should be thought about. Maybe we can mature that idea a little bit more. Maybe I'll come back with something next week. I don't know. Pirate Chain, finding resistance at actually a pretty reasonable spot to expect Pirate Chain to have resistance. I think we talked about this. I don't remember if I mentioned that or not, but yeah, you've got these purple bands. They're almost about to start curling up, but they haven't started curling up yet. They're actually just stabilizing from a very long-term downtrend. We've also got kind of this upper standard deviation cluster, this blue band cluster, same deal. So this is definitely a zone that you would expect Pirate Chain to have some issues with. It wouldn't surprise me to watch Pirate Chain make some stark wick down and then come back up, and then finally try and hit our actual target here, which we said 1.2, right? $1.20, $1. That's about where you want to really look at selling your Pirate Chain. If it's super strongly bullish and there is no pullback and it just goes straight here, then I probably wouldn't sell it until $1.50. I would actually try and target just above these blue bands. But at any rate, yeah, Pirate Chain has been doing well, and it's not too surprising, with Zcash and all that going on. And I'm not sure how much I trust Pirate Chain at all, anyways, and what kind of stuff. Who knows who might be involved with there and all of their ASIC mine coins, just like Zcash with their ASIC mine coins. Okay, I don't care about Darrow. Actually, let's do we have Tari? Is Tari on here yet, or do I still have to go to the stupid? It's not Tari USD. I always forget. It's help me out here. What is the full correct name of Tari?
Minotari.
Minotari.
I know.
I wish they would put this. Here it is. XTMM. That's not the best nomenclature. XTMM.
Because
But all right.
Tari is, I know Tari is XTM, so I know that's their little symbol thing or whatever.
At least here in TradingView, it says XTMM USD.
That's weird. All right.
There's Bitfinex. No, that's XLM. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I feel like XTM is already taken. Whatever. All right, we're on. That's the weekly. No, let's go to the daily. So wow, Jesus, man, really just been falling off. Fluffy, you got to talk to Paris. This has got to be her fault. I don't know what's going on, but Paris is not a believer.
Paris
anymore.
is dumping her bags. Oh man, right, I'll buy some of Paris's bags.
Yeah, Paris. You're selling too early. You don't even realize, girl. All right. Hey, can you put up the super chat? We have, the XMR chat. We have System D Lover. Love the name. For all the cheeky reasons. Thanks for a great show. He tipped 0.01 XMR. Thanks for a great show. Last week, Bawdy teased that maybe he had something to say about System D. I'd like to hear it. Oh man, I'll have to post it on Twitter. I don't know if you're on Twitter. All right, let me see. Let me do an ad hoc, non-price related, if I can get it in like 30 seconds. The problem with System D is that it is a monolithic runtime that forces you into the decisions that Red Hat has made for the entire Linux ecosystem. They have forced themselves as both an upstream and a downstream dependency of the entire ecosystem. It is hard to run a system without System D. You can do it, right? But you're going to get some wonky action on some of your programs. And they came in to solve what was allegedly a PID1 problem. So you've got your kernel, right? It boots into your hardware, into the firmware, et cetera. And then you have to load the first process, which is going to control and start up all of your other processes, like your networking and all this other stuff. And then they rolled everything, like all this other shit into it, your package management system. And they just rolled everything. Not package management, excuse me. But they rolled all of this extra stuff, all of the stuff like, these should be modularized, independent component pieces that you can swap out at will if you desire. System D is this opaque behemoth of monstrosity code. It's like 2 million, 1 or 2, maybe 3 million lines long. It is a backdoor through over complexity. And the only thing that needed to be solved was PID1, the init system, right? Say, okay, let's start this service and start this service and start up all the services that make your computer do the things that you need it to do. And that's totally fine. The init system sucked before System D. But the problem is that they, instead of actually just creating a new init system that was good, which it is like reasonably easy to use, but the problem is that everything is now an opaque System D controlled element, and you can't swap out these elements to your own liking. Some of them you can, but they keep removing optionality. And that was one thing they were like, oh, you'll still be able to use all your services that you want. But no, they've removed the options on all of that. So again, it's a monolithic runtime, which is different than a monolithic repository of saying, hey, here's a bunch of stuff that you could install if you want. System D demands what you have to run. It was a takeover by Leonard Pottering, by Red Hat, and by IBM, and the corporate monstrosity that took over open source around circa 2013, 2014. So I hate System D. It's horrible. And onward we go. All right, so we've talked about privacy shitcoins enough. Let's move on to the big daddy of them all, as I call him, the big abusive daddy, Bitcoin, which is currently abusing everyone at $108,000 instead of $108 million. My hyper Bitcoinization has not been forthcoming, and I'm going to have to blame, I don't know, Maxie's. Let's see, we could either blame Cat Eater or we could blame Adam Back. Maybe we could blame BlackRock. But really, I just need to look in the mirror to know why hyper Bitcoinization hasn't happened, because I sold my Bitcoin for Monero. So that's why I had at least 23 million Bitcoin. All right, so Bitcoin actually not doing bad here. We've got this lower standard deviation band. It's still kind of riding that lower band. It's not good to ride bands like that. That starts to feel a little bit like it wants to break down. But let's be real, guys. We broke down over here, like even worse back earlier this year, right? So February, March, April. So things broke down. You could still break down from this band and still be bullish. You might even, it's not out of possibility to break down to like 90,000. Like that could happen. I don't see why that should happen necessarily. That would be terrible. And oh, by the way, let's look at the monthly candle. This is like the worst bull market October that we have ever had. Like Bitcoin has never had this bad of a October in a bull market. It is always green candle. This was red candle October. Not great. Not like from a technical analysis standpoint, this doesn't look great. You can see the diminishing returns on this bull market, on this particular bull market, right? Not the holding. You know, you've got this big movement upwards, less of movement, barely anything. So you start asking yourself, you know, is the RSI diverging here? Are we done? I don't know. Let's look at the RSI. I haven't looked at RSI in forever. RSI, yes, that is absolutely bearish divergence on the RSI. You've got lower lows, or sorry, lower highs on the RSI, all the while making higher highs on the price. That is weekly RSI bearish divergence. That's a horrible fucking pattern, guys, like especially in crypto. Weekly RSI bearish divergence is a terrible, terrible thing to see on a crypto chart. So am I saying Bitcoin is going down? No, not necessarily, but goddamn, this
run for the digital hills. Bawdy says that's a fucking horrible pattern.
It is, like, I mean, just from a technical analysis standpoint, that is a horrible pattern. But I mean, you know, what is this? Like, this is a fucking bull market for ants, guys. Like, you should have been in Nvidia. You should have bought the Nasdaq. after about 2024, right? We got the big pumpage in the crypto presidency, right? Maybe 2025, right? This year, you should have just bought the Nasdaq. Nasdaq is way up. And Bitcoin is just like, it's sideways, right? It's sideways with the hope of pump, but not actually pumping. And alt season should have taken off by now, basically, but it hasn't. Although, you know, again, we are saying, hey, this lower standard deviation band and, you know, kind of like this rising blue band, this is not like it's not an unreasonable spot to have expected the dominance to have made some kind of rebound. But, you know, we really were hoping for a little bit faster. I mean, I said, hey, this chart is going to trend down from here on out. Like, do expect that Bitcoin dominance should trend down a little bit, but man, maybe this is going to be a lot more, right? Maybe it's going to do this thing, right? That would suck. That would suck to have to wait another year and a half for another alt season. But it's not out of the range of possibility. At the moment, I'm not seeing macro crash. Oh, all right. We'll come back to this, but the next reason for the macro crash is obviously going to be the Civil War, in case you haven't figured it out. We'll talk about that when we get to the macro. Remind me if I forget to talk about it. But yeah, it's they always need an excuse. Oh, it's not because we have this fraudulent financial system that's based on bubbles and pops. It's just because you assholes have to Civil War now. Right? It's something like that. All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin versus NASDAQ really quick. I already had it up there. Yeah, so you can see Bitcoin versus NASDAQ hasn't done jack or shit for like the entire year, right? After the Bitcoin president in November, we had the pump, and then after that, it's just been NASDAQ. Like, this is still a bullish chart. Don't get me wrong. This still looks like a reasonably nice chart, but again, things are on the verge of like kind of breakdown here. That right there, like if you break down from that, expect to end up here, right? So I know it's kind of stupid, but you know, if we break down 10%, 6%, you know, expect to go another 16%, right? I know that it's like kind of a common stupid thing to say that a lot of price guys say, right? If we get this tiny little movement, then we're going to hyper Bitcoinize. But yeah, things aren't looking good there for Bitcoin versus NASDAQ. They're not looking like as good as they normally would, right? Like, they effectively, I mean, from 2021, that peak, Bitcoin versus NASDAQ, like, we're still not above that. Bitcoin is still below the 2021 peak on NASDAQ. You could have just bought the NASDAQ at the peak in 2021 and done equally as well in NASDAQ or Bitcoin. So that goes a little bit against the narrative, you know, that we hear from Bitcoiners and all that. But yeah, honestly, guys, like, I feel like we need some positive action here to keep the hope alive on Bitcoin and crypto here, because it's just not feeling good. It doesn't feel right, and everyone's uneasy with that monthly candle close that just happened yesterday, and it just doesn't seem like what it should seem like. Whereas on the other hand, let's take a look at the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the S&P and the NASDAQ. What happened this week? They made sure that the monthly candle on the NASDAQ closed at reasonably good levels. Look at this pump this week. So where's Monday? Monday's right here. So the market gapped. Oh, shit. That's a gap. That gap might need to be filled. Anyways, so the market gapped up on Monday from the Friday close. So from last Friday until the peak the NASDAQ gained almost 5%. Right, that is a big move for the NASDAQ in a week. That is really, really bullish action. So going to the monthly candle, they made sure that NASDAQ closed at a really nice monthly candle. That is solid territory there, and got back into the obvious channel that we talked about. Right, we talked about this channel for maybe a couple months now. This is really, we've had it drawn out here for over a year. So this thing is the channel, and NASDAQ's going to continue up in this channel. It's going to reach for the purple bands here. It's gonna continue going up there. At some point, when this thing collapses out of the channel again, which it will, that'll probably be our sign that all is not well, and it's time to start protecting your bags. So, but for the meantime, that this channel is intact. The macro is fine. Let's see here. Dollar index is edging higher slightly, but not really. Like, this is stable, right? This dollar index is stable. Price of oil is still kind of like, it's kind of a disbeliever, but price of oil is still at $60, $61. It's not a problem. It's a slight weird little tick amongst the sea of things that look fine. Here's the reverse repos. Okay, a little bit of tick up from $0 to $50 billion. Nothing. That's peanuts for these guys. That's not showing us anything. The bonds continue to show us nothing important, nothing useful. Although Jay Powell did lower rates another 0.25% last week. So the government is shut down, but thank God the Federal Reserve is still here. He's got our backs with his tools.
Any thoughts on stopping QT?
Say what? Say that again.
Jay Powell also stopped QT as of December 1st.
Oh, you stopped the quantitative tightening. Let's take a look at there's the M2 money stock. Federal Reserve balance sheet. Why do I not have the Federal Reserve balance sheet pulled up anymore? Walk. Okay, yeah. You can see that. You can see this. This guy right there has been on a downtrend. Oh wow, they actually got back. They actually quantitatively tightened all the way back to pre-economy cold levels of 2020. Interesting. They actually got below that level. Yeah, this actually makes a lot of sense for them to stop the quantitative tightening. This is more for show than anything. It also relates significantly to the housing market. Man, that's not good. Houses are already expensive enough. Where the fuck is my housing chart? Do I not have it pulled up anymore? Here it is. Yeah, so single family homes. Man, I thought I deleted all these lines. These lines were just when I was testing back in the day to like confirm that yes, June is like the peak. If you're selling a house, June is like the peak sell point, which kind of means you have to put it on the market in like March. But yeah, like summer is the peak housing. Anyways, the point is here that you can see that, they reinflated the housing market. And so we kind of got this line. And it's the same if you look at the peaks, right? It's like, kind of like this parallel channel. But if you look at the peaks now, you can see that the housing market is actually not rising as fast as it used to. And presumably that has a lot to do with the quantitative tightening that has been going on ever since they started raising rates. So yeah, that makes sense. We're entering that. So it's like there was this macro scare, things were looking bad. And then they're like, well, no, it's fine. We don't really have to macro crash yet at the moment. So they covered that and they're continuing. But this is this will hit an irreversible point where they can't just, flap their mouths and use the social mechanisms to prevent, the crash or whatever. This is going to hit a real breaking point eventually. I don't know exactly when, but at some point this is going to do that. And these bonds right here are going to do that. They're going to curl under. And when that happens, usually it's synonymous with the market crash. So it's not really a leading indicator, but at least it tells us, hey, this is not just a pullback, right? This is a real crash. Anyways, bonds aren't doing anything. Like, bonds are not telling us that there's a crash coming. The dollar index doesn't tell us there's a crash. The reverse repos don't tell us there's a crash. Oil is like, I'm kind of fucked for now, but it's more of a shit. One of those data points that's way outside of the trend. It's not like really giving us the trend. I can't believe I can't think of that. It's an outlier. Finally. Use your words. Yeah, well, U.S. oil is currently a little bit of an outlier, but everything else says that everything is fine in terms of like the macro. So gold, let's actually, so one thing we should have done a couple weeks ago was examine gold on like a shorter time frame, right? Like the 2-hour time frame. So we had a big peak off here in gold, like 43, almost $4,400, $4,400. And so let's go ahead another 2-hour and see what's happening here. We're going to mute these descriptive. We don't need those now. Okay. What do I have? Oh, okay, that's a reference line. So maybe go down to the 1 hour. Maybe it's easier to see on the 1 hour. The thing is that I want to show you that, you know, gold was traveling in the purple bands for, you know, quite this period of time. It finds support in between the purple and blue bands. And then it kind of had this blow off here, right? It did this, it failed to get higher, and then it broke out of trend. This spot right here is about where, you know, we could have said, hey, you know, it's going to take some time before we can make new all-time highs, if we're going to make them at all. This is the kind of situation where you say, hey, you know, it's at the point where gold is now pulling back at the same time that the stock market is pushing significantly higher, right? 5% movement in 1 week is a big deal. And the stock market, you know, has made more like 10% in this entire time that gold has been pulling back from its highs. So this is a pattern. We've talked about this a lot. I'll restate it here for everyone. The pattern is that they have to release, you know, there are real market forces in gold. Central banks really do buy this shit. Countries do buy it. People want gold. And so there's like this pressure release that has to happen. They can't infinitely suppress gold to zero. So when the pressure release needs to happen, they allow it to happen. They even allow it to go maybe too high. They get long. And at some point, you know, so gold will be moving up, and then the stock market will move up with gold. And at some point, they will cap gold. They'll say, all right, let's reassert our ability to temporarily suppress prices. Let's cap gold while we continue to push the stock market. And then we will create we'll create the negative sentiment where people thinking that they're going to get, you know, $10,000 gold, or, you know, they're holding, and then they see the stock market continuing to go, and they're like, why am I going to continue to hold gold when the stock market keeps going up? And considering where we are in the cycle, right, and using the bonds here is our idea for where we are in the cycle, right? We're looking at maybe could be another year, right? Maybe next year. For the crash, like for some, again, long-term is hard to predict specific timelines. So we're just kind of generically saying next year. About a year from now, maybe we'll hit the crash. And so in the meantime, they're going to want to pump that stock market. They're going to want to pump the AI and print the money and get themselves fat paychecks as their fucking bonuses, as they always do. Elon Musk can be patient zero for welfare whore. And then they're going to cap gold to sort of convince people into the markets, and they use this as a means of socially trying to like reinforce the patterns that they want to see. It's kind of like the reverse of the way they do where we talked about the pumps. Like, it's a playbook they do. They pump the coin, they generate the interest, and then real plebs get into the market chasing that as they unload their bags and continue to pump that coin to distract people out of, you know, other assets that, like Monero, for example. That they don't want people to be in. So they do the same thing on the reverse with gold. They pump it, but now they start suppressing it as they pump everything else, because they want to get that general sentiment moving in the direction they want. So that's a very long-winded way of saying that, guys, we need to suspect that the top for gold is in. This is very, very possibly the top. We don't know yet. We won't quite know yet. Things have broken, right? The market is breaking. The fact that we are above the trend line of the 1929 and .com highs on the S&P is a bellwether for a lot of excess liquidity and cash floating around the market. So gold can and will reach for the 42 level, 4,200, 4,300 level. It will at least reach for that level. Whether or not it can actually get back up there and break those levels, that's going to take some time. It's going to probably take at least until next year till we see new all-time highs in gold. So the party's a little bit it's at least on pause. It might be over for gold for at least for the next, it could be on hold for the next few years. But again, you know, lots of inflation, lots of printing. So maybe gold could continue higher. We just have to stop here and say, okay, this could be a problem. It does look like there's on a short-term basis, this does look like there could be a temporary bottom being put in for gold. In fact, I would bet that the next move is going to be up, but I can't tell you that I think gold is going to quickly break the all-time highs. That a resumption of the gold bull market is probably going to take a few months to truly get going again, if it's going to get going at all. We'll have to wait until that time comes and then reevaluate then. So that is basically the macro. Silver continuing to slightly outperform gold. It's slightly edging out over gold. What is that, the monthly? Let's go to the daily. Kind of, sort of. Silver is continuing to outperform gold, but not to any huge degree, maybe 7%. So, all right, I guess that's cool. Silver holders, you're getting a little bit of bone there. You haven't had a bone in a long time. Gold versus the S&P. Yeah, I mean, I would like to say that gold is going to be shooting for these blue bands here, which would put it, relatively speaking, to the S&P 500. That would put it another 70% higher. So maybe this bull market isn't quite over. All right, we have another super chat. Why do I always say super chat? XMR chat. System D Lover tipped 0.001 XMR. He said, Bawdy, thanks for the answer. No, I'm not on Twitter. I'm on Mastodon like normal people. Yeah, you're right, Ben. You have a morally superior position to myself by not being on
man after
Twitter.
my own heart. Thank you.
Yeah. This is like I can't. I have no excuses to make for myself, to be honest. Other than I just like interacting with Zcash bots. Obviously, that's why I'm on Twitter. Okay, so I think that's all. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. We got the macro.
You mentioned something about Civil War.
Oh shit! Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So here's the thing: they always need an excuse, right? It wasn't because we printed a shitload of money and hyper financialized the economy after 2008. It was this deadly virus that came off of someone ate a bat in Wuhan and transferred from the COVID to humanity from some bat in China. Okay, all right, guys, sure. No, so that's why the economy crashed. They're going to have to do it again, right? The pattern's playing out, and they're going to need an excuse, and they're already telling you what they're going to do, like the fucking the ICE and the thuggery on the streets. And even if the Groypers here on, I don't know if you guys listen to this stream anymore, maybe Tux can tell us more. He keeps tabs on those guys better than I do. But guys, like, you could, if you want to say that they have to come here legally, then you need to remove them legally. You can't just trounce the Constitution and American civil rights. You can't just trounce the Bill of Rights and basic human rights to remove the baddies, right? That's not how things work. Like that, you have to, like, if you want to remove them, at least follow the fucking law. So what are they doing? Like, they're already putting out the bulletins towards to the National Guard saying, be prepared for civil unrest 2026. Be prepared to respond, blah, blah, blah. They're already seeding it. Like, one of the big things that they're doing right now is they are training the personnel that they have added to the Gestapo, to the secret police. They are training these guys on the illegals, saying, hey, these illegals are destroying our glorious civilization and they need to be exported. They need to be sent out of the country. And it's something these guys believe in. And so they are conditioning them to atrocities, right? Because what they're doing is they're using very heavy-handed, strong-arm thug tactics against just like women and children and peaceful people. They're conditioning them to use atrocious kinds of tactics against the population so that they can later. And I mean, I know we've talked about this for like 20 years now, like in the libertarian circles. This has been talked about for a long time, but this is it, guys. This is the manifestation of this shit. Whether it's a real civil war or manufactured civil war, I don't know. I don't care. I can't even say that I will be going back to the United States anytime soon. Like, I don't know. And it's not looking good, guys. This is looking like a real thing now. So that's going to be the thing. That's going to be the market crash. There's going to be civil unrest, and they're going to have to like shut down. They're going to blame Wall Street, and they're going to tell the boomers, you lost your retirement. Your money is down because the Antifa attacked Wall Street. You know, they're going to make up. And if there's not enough Antifa attacking Wall Street, well, then they're just going to be the Antifa that attacks Wall Street. And that shuts down the society, right? And that's going to be the excuse for the crash. It's not because of their financial mismanagement. It's because of Antifa, right? So just count on that. That's the thing that's going to happen. That's the thing we should expect now for it's becoming much more clear as time goes on. This is not a one-off thing. This wasn't hey, let's export them really quickly and then be done with it. This is a sea change in the face of America, and I really hope that you gropers out there realize that you're being played and that the Gestapo is coming for you next because you believe in freedom. And that's one thing we actually do agree on. We do agree on freedom. And they're coming for you next, guys. So like, you need to oppose this. I know that you don't like the browns and the blacks or whatever, but like, that's not the problem, right? The problem is the fraudulent monetary system and the drug pushers in the corporate world and the Gestapo, right? That's the problem. So if we could like, please realize, guys, that we're on the same team, kind of mostly, and just oppose this, right? Because if they want to export illegals, they could at least do it legally. They could at least respect U.S. citizens' rights. Anyways, that's a little bit of a side rant. But anyways, that is what is going to be the thing that they will claim is going to cause the crash as it's coming up. Now, heard it here first ahead of time. We're just, at this point, it's a waiting game. It's,
That's
next year.
Pretty bold prediction. All right.
Yeah. I mean, bro, let's.
So what do you think? And I apologize because I didn't hear everything, but so you probably covered this. So long term, I mean, interest rates are coming down, right? And there seems to be even more kind of momentum out there in that regard, right? More information, right, coming out that we're moving towards lower and lower interest rates. Inflation's going to increase, so assets are probably going to continue to inflate. No. Yeah. For the meantime, the direction is up, right? The bull market is still on. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin is looking wonky. Crypto's like looking really weak. But that can turn around at any moment, right? Like they could push crypto higher. They could rotate some funds into crypto. That could be the case. Stock market, definitely the direction is up here. Assets will continue. Yeah, I mean, it feels like inflated stock market money, right, will go into crypto. Like maybe the bubble ends with crypto, right? Like people are maybe moving some of their stock funds in crypto now at the end of this, stock rally, and then we see the end of the crypto rally. I don't know, just big general potential prediction.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely the case that as they inflate one asset, regular people and big money do rotate. They rebalance their positions, right? Once they've made big profits, that money will filter into the rest of at least at a minimum, that'll filter into the rest of the asset classes. It's asymmetric. It happens on different timelines in a lot of cases. Sometimes it even happens countercyclically. But yeah, that will happen as long as the liquidity continues flowing. Crypto can expect to gain some benefit there. At the same time, crypto prices do have this big fraud leverage component to them. But in general, yeah, you're directionally correct. As long as we continue to see more liquidity, we should hope to see more gains in crypto. So
unless you're talking about Monero, because there's no fraud because it's all organic.
Yes, we do get, at the same time, we still do get the sort of hand-me-down liquidity after the fact, right? We still get those gains. So it does benefit our bags as well some, but usually later and after the fact. The other thing too is obviously the bubble here is the AI bubble is going to be, a big part of this too. So let's see, NVIDIA took another big pump this week. Let's see how much that was. In the past 2 weeks, NVIDIA managed to put on about 18%. So that's pretty big. I would expect this to continue. Like they're a defense stock. They occupy an interesting position where they are both a tech stock and a defense stock simultaneously. So that's actually, it's kind of important. But yeah, like the civil unrest plus the AI bubble, like that's what to expect next year, probably next year.
Maybe it all eventually makes its way into Monero. Yeah, all roads do lead to Monero. I mean, yeah, because I mean, what like you said, gold is inflated. Everything is inflated, obviously. So I do think we'll see a move. Bitcoin will continue to go up as people move their other inflated asset money into Bitcoin, and maybe that's kind of the final pump. And then obviously the altcoins will pump from that. And it will end with an altcoin pump. I mean, that's. I guess that's probably what most people are predicting. So maybe it won't happen. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. So far, I mean, it's the kinds of price movements, even the modest ones that I wanted to see, haven't been totally forthcoming. I mean, okay, we made it to 125 on Bitcoin. That's good. The regression boundary would suggest 200,000 is really our ish. 200,000 ish would be our target. We would kind of hope to already be above the 130 level at this moment. We would have hoped for a much better October, at least back to the 130 level.
And then so do you think this would, so the top was at one, if the top was at 125, what do you then see as being the, the bear market low? I mean, and when potentially, how far out is that?
My crystal ball only works over the midterm. But let's go to the weekly for this. Obviously, I'm going to say the green line, right? The lower regression boundary. We didn't even quite make it that low, right? We didn't quite make it there. So actually, I need to readjust this. I'll do it at some point once, the bull market's over, or I'm just like feeling optimistic, or I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I need to adjust this green line to incorporate this data now down here. But this is the nature of statistics. You're not always going to hit it correctly. You're not going to hit it exactly. Sometimes you do, but anyways, at the moment, the absolute lowest boundary you would say would be 45,000, but we're probably wouldn't even hit that. Like if we're going to go by the 4-year cycle, it would be 2027 before we did hit that, which would be about 70,000 right here. I'm not saying that's what I expect. I actually think the cycles are going to extend. I actually think this cycle is likely to not end on January or December or November, whatever. I think we're actually going to have a longer cycle, and I think the 4-year cycle is done. Like it's over.
And so that would imply that we're still in the bull market, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Because as far as the pattern goes, with more liquidity, and they stop the quantitative tightening and they're lowering rates. Like they can continue that for at least another 6 months, probably another 12 months if they really want. So ultimately that's going to spell movement here, on the Bitcoin chart eventually towards the upside, right? Like maybe next year we're looking at like 191,000. And at that point, the upper boundary would be about 250,000, right? So these lines are always constantly rising. Yeah.
All right, man. All right. Covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I didn't intend for it to be that long.
I mean, there's a lot going on right now. As I was listening to it in the background, I was just thinking like, how amazing this all is that we're experiencing this. I mean, Zcash, it hurts a little bit, but the fact is there is a privacy coin rally happening right now. So that's exciting.
Honestly, I don't see it. We have positive motion, but I wouldn't say that I wouldn't call Monero's action a rally. I would just say, hey, this is solid price movement towards the upside. Zcash is rallying, but I don't see privacy coin. I don't see privacy coins rallying. Like I just see Zcash rallying.
Well, Zcash went up, Pirate Chain went up, Tari went up. None of which I have. Oh, Zcash I do.
Tari. It's hard to say that Tari went up.
I mean, it's so low. I know. I'm trying to get them to participate in Monerotopia, by the way. I think we are making some progress. Would be great. And I'll, would be nice.
This does look like a potential bottoming spot for Tari, actually. This does has the potential here to form a bottoming pattern and then start going up. How much? Man, that could be a 10x. Shit. All right, maybe it's time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to go get some of that Tari. It started going down.
Get the Tari. That's the problem. I don't think it's too liquid accessible. That's also another issue. Can't
you buy it on XMR Bazaar?
Yeah, I suppose you can. But I don't know what exchange. I don't think it's on instant exchanges, is it? I'm sure it's on an instant exchange.
I know CoinGecko has prices for it, so it must be on something.
It's on like Mexi or something, which has like everything.
But yeah, when I bought Tari, I bought it on XMR.
How do I get on Mexi? It's like it has so much volume. All these Monero's on there, Zano, Zcash. I don't think is it on Trocador? I don't think it is.
Nah, it's not on any of the Trocador instant swaps, and they have quite a few. So it's
so that's a little crazy to me. So
that's now's the time then, right? Like
buy
get
it on
Tari
XMR
now.
Bazaar like a real one.
Yeah.
Like this is actually like if you can buy a coin before it gets listed on the major spots, and then once it gets listed on the instant swap exchanges and all this other stuff, like now you're looking at now you're looking at people that are going to get into the coin. Like that's kind of what happened with BitTensor, right? Like there was this opportunity to buy BitTensor completely outside of the exchange system. It wasn't listed there. You could only get it from people that had mined it because they were full proof of work and no pre-mine. And the time to buy it was before it got listed on the exchanges. So yeah, there's definitely the possibility that Tari could now, it's actually formed a chart pattern here where if this is the bottom and it's recovering and you buy it here, you really could hope for a 9-10x on this thing, just to get back to like a resistance spot here. So it's plausible.
Or Paris can keep dumping her bags. I mean, you got to look at the release schedule too of the Tari, right? I don't know. I'm not following that closely, but I remember, that there was quite a few coins that were going to be issued as things progressed that were getting unlocked, that were giving people, so.
Hey, that's even more reason for it to pump. They just need to like Fluffy, bro, if you've already involved like investors and stuff, you just need to pay off CZ or whoever. Like you just got to give them a bag of the stuff, to encourage them to pump it. And then we can all get our 10x. Like, come on, bro, please, bro, pump the coin. Let's see. We have another XMR chat.
Oh, here we go.
Adequate resistance tipped 0.001 XMR. Says Bawdy and Alaska Anon, try out NeoStore for an F-Droid client. It does background updates as well, a few years before the official F-Droid client added support and has several other repositories built in. Well, that's very interesting. Maybe that's worth checking out.
Speaking of that, I did figure something out. I remembered that unattended updates for app stores other than the Play Store came out in Android 12. So that's the minimum at which it could have been done. And F-Droid, the official client, did do it a bit after.
Okay. Yeah, I would have to go do some more research. It's one of those things where it's like, I've got the Play Store, my apps get updated. It works. So it's like, it's hard for me to.
But you're on proprietary shitware.
I mean, I'm on Graphene, and the problem with Google Play is that it's spidered into your entire, to the entrails of your entire phone. But
I mean, at least if you're going to be using the Play Store, you could use the Aurora Store, because then you can connect to Google anonymously and not have to have a Play
it's spotty, dude. I've used it. I've used the Aurora Store, and it's like it works, and then sometimes it doesn't, and it's annoying. And just gonna use the Play Store. Like, I need that's why I use Graphene, because it's a seamless solution. It just works, and I don't have to think about it, and it doesn't fuck up. And occasionally, once in a blue moon, it does a weird thing on me, but it's like not a problem. So like, I don't know. I haven't. Maybe I'm being a boomer here, and it's been 2 years since I've tried messing around with Aurora and F-Droid. But I don't know. Maybe I need to go try it again. But honestly, I'll wait for the Graphene guys to finish. To say that they're, to sanctify their repo, and then I'll just go with that. It's probably what's going to happen.
All right. Let's move it along. Bawdy, if you can stick around, please do. I see Ofrin wants to jump up on stage. I will quickly run through the news. Didn't really have the time to collect much news this week. I don't know if there's any big stories I'm missing. I just have a few random links. Shortwave, you can chime in if you think there's any Monero related stories that we need to bring up this week. But let me go ahead and run the news segment. Bawdy, thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
And here we go.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
Guest segment, but no worries there. Always enjoy.
The Monerotopia weekly news segment is sponsored by withdrawn.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
All right. Here we go. Let's see. Let's try to bring up the news here. All right. Yeah, I don't have a lot of links for the week. Let's see. This one I just saw pop up. Actually, would like to hear Bawdy's take on this one. Just opened a $1 million Zec short. Liquidation is $475. If it hits my target, I make $10 million. Sorry, Zcash fans, but it's over.
It's a terrible idea.
That sounds a bit risky to me. It's probably full of shit too, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is one of those stories where they're going to be like, we're liquidating the shorts. It's just here to play into a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah,
They're just manufacturing. They're astroturfing all of the engagement. I don't even know if this guy's real.
Yeah, I saw there was some other like Chinese account that was like claiming to be selling all their Zcash for Monero, and like it just seemed very fabricated. But whatever. Second story here. Great. Maybe more people understand what a CBDC represents. Orwell 21st century version. I'm bullish on Monero. So what happened here? So the European Central Bank, the Governing Council has decided to move to the next phase of the digital euro project. A digital euro would preserve Europeans' freedom of choice and privacy. Okay. And strengthen our sovereignty and resilience. Yeah. So Europe is just really on the forefront here in terms of technocracy. So they're forging ahead with their digital euro. They're going after privacy coins, right? Basically forcing delistings, whatnot. So let's go ahead and play this video if I can. It's a short little clip.
This is not a project in search of a cause. It embodies the capacity of Europe to defend. This is not a project in search of a cause. It embodies the capacity of Europe to defend itself and to transact with a currency that is its own. This is not a project in search of a cause. It embodies.
Okay. Not much information there. I thought there'd be actual information on the digital euro itself. Let's see. Next story. Do you see why we're in Monero? So this is interesting. They just froze my wallet. I don't know. I mean, it seems to be legitimate. Somebody's posting that their Tether got frozen, and it's $26 million worth of Tether. So yeah, obviously that can happen in Monero. This is why we need tools like Monero. Next story we got here. Privacy Guide sent out a tweet. Good news. ChatControl has been withdrawn from the Danish EU by the Danish EU Presidency after failing to gather support for those who spent countless hours campaigning for Stop ChatControl. Thank you for fighting. There was this. The EU. Well, let's take a look at this. I don't even know if this is in English here.
Yeah, because I thought it was going to be posted again. I thought it could be brought back up again in December. But if has it been withdrawn entirely, I wonder? Or is it just temporary? Because I know Germany voted it down this last time or whatever, and it was due to come back in like December or something.
Yeah, I don't know. The article is not in English. So yeah, I don't have much detail on it. But good news if they did in fact make that progress. Let's see, next story, and yeah, maybe you have some insight into this one as well. Shortwave. Simplex Chat. This was like a big controversy this week. The Simplex account was tweeting how they basically want to. Initially, they were proposing it as adding like an NFT, but it looks like they're like basically looking to add some currency, some token, so they can do things with it on Simplex. It caused a bunch of controversy. Shortwave, have you been following this story?
I have heard about it, but I haven't followed it super closely. I have been seeing some alternatives pop up that are slightly different from Simplex. Well, like one is called a CWTCH, and it uses onion services as your identity instead of any kind of like identifiers. It uses like Tor hidden services, and I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, so they were just getting a lot of shit because people were like, "Oh, you should use Monero," but Monero it's not really going to solve the problem that they're trying to solve. we need programmable smart contracts, not cryptocurrency. Once XMR network supports smart contracts comparable to EVM model, it will be a viable consideration. Until then, it can be only one of payment options, but not a core network dependency. So yeah, I mean, Monero is not really going to solve their problem right now. Sir Jams is, why do you need programmable smart contracts? To implement escrow models and revenue sharing between servers and users and networks in a way that ensures the interests of all sides and not based on trust to some party. So yeah, I mean, that's fine. I don't know why they were getting so much shit. Like, yeah, but if they were selling something on, like, to buy, if you wanted to buy whatever, a subscription service, I mean, obviously, it's free service, but whatever, if they were selling something, yeah, they should be accepting Monero. But to assume that Monero should be the technology that they implement for what they're trying to do.
But I think they were trying to sell a service. Aren't they trying to sell access to the servers for like over a certain size groups or something? I'm not sure exactly what's going on here.
Yeah, maybe. So if somebody else wants to chime in on that, on why, everybody's so pissed at them for not adding Monero, please do. I don't have further details on it.
I feel like we have to be careful about that, because they have a need for a distributed system that can meet the load requirement, and they need to not have a centralized point of failure like fucking Amazon. And so they're trying to find something that will fit that bill. And of course, smart contracts, on distributed systems like Ethereum or maybe L2 or who knows, like those that might meet their needs for. Yeah. I don't have any idea about the back end, but Monero can't do that. So, like, guys, exactly. If you don't have really solid technical background and you don't understand the way that Simplex works, please don't go give them shit unless you actually know what you're talking about. Like, don't just be like, you're not using Monero and you're making a shit coin. Like, stop it. We don't want to alienate these guys.
Exactly. Yeah, for the for people like we're building XMR Bazaar, right? There's thoughts that go through my mind too. Like, Monero is not always the best tool for every aspect of things you're trying to do with regards to cryptocurrency. It's the best at being digital cash, but it doesn't really have too many features beyond that. So, Monero Research Lab tweeted, Samsung Galaxy Player submitted a simple market-based Monero fee proposal for Monero. I don't know the details on this. This is a simple Monero market-based fee proposal. The main motivations for this proposal are to substantially simplify the fees and block size calculations. In many ways, simpler is better. To remove the need to predict the future by assigning a fair XMR USD value. Some other proposals incorporate an implied value based on activity, which I believe is not a safe assumption. Activity doesn't determine price. This proposal works for all XMR USD values to add more predictable scaling parameters to improve privacy. Bawdy, I don't know if you're there and if you looked into what Samsung Galaxy Player is proposing here. I don't know how well received it's been in the Monero community, but
no, I've been out of the loop for the past week.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so I don't know if there's any controversy around this, but exciting to see that there's more developments being made in Monero every day. I did see. I don't have the tweet here. I might be able to pull it up actually. Let's see. I did see there was discussion about full chain membership proof progress. Is this it? Let's see. The MRL full chain membership proof alpha stressnet discussion highlighted technical debt in Monero D and ongoing bug fixes. So it sounds like, there's some issues that are being found. Actually, maybe Offrin, if he's still backstage right now, we could bring him up and he can chime in on what's been happening with regards to full chain membership proof alpha stressnet. It looks like they're still running into some issues, and now they're saying they found some technical debt. I don't know what that even means. It sounds like there's things that need to be upgraded. And then let's go ahead and read what they have here actually. So Rucknium, it seems to me that Monero D is full of technical debt. VT Nerd, seen worse. It's still manageable, but others may have different thoughts. Arctic Mind. Rockingham, yes, I agree. And this debt needs to be repaid before the hard fork. So saying that, we need to clean this up. Data Hoarder, I'm a programmer. I agree, especially in the older parts of the code base. They're usually also uncommented and have generic namings. Jay Berman. Offren and I discussed blocker issues for the mainnet launch. 100M after synced. We're going to figure this out. 2, pool consistently cutting down to 1 transaction. Hopefully solve with the latest bug fix while complaining about double spends. All right, so we'll bring Offren up to discuss what the issues are that they found, but it looks like they're looking to clean it up, right? So it sounds like things are still moving along with the implementation of full chain membership proofs as planned and hoped. I get, this is what we could expect to happen, right? So they're finding things that need to be fixed. This is why they do the stress net to begin with. And Monero being what Monero is, we do things carefully. We don't just rush implement things. We take our time, make sure things are properly assessed and implemented. So we'll bring Offren up, and he can chime in on those things. That is really all the news I have. Shortwave, I don't know if you have anything you want to bring up, if there's any big stories that I missed.
Not that I'm aware of, and I'm going to kind of let the guests or whatever the viewers on stage talk because I have chicken bacon ranch. So,
all right. Let me go ahead and play the viewers on stage, and then we will bring everybody up.
The Monerotopia Viewers on Stage segment is sponsored by XMR Bar. Play dice with Monero using a privacy-respecting and provably fair algorithm. Go to xmr.bar. As always, verify and never trust.
Please gamble responsibly in accordance with the laws of your jurisdiction.
All right, we got Offren, we got Alaska Anon, we have Elias. Nice, we got a good crowd here. What's going on, guys?
I hate
not much. Can you hear me?
A live stream, but is my mic okay right now? Because I've never even used it before.
It's fantastic. Perfect. Perfecto.
What about me? Is my mic working?
Beautiful. Could hear you loud and clear.
Very good.
Offren, what's going on, man?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, you sound really good.
Okay. So there's a few different things. There's Zcash, there's Simplex, and then there's stress.
Oh boy. Yeah. Tell us all.
Simplex first, please. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. I don't know if you've seen what I had to say about it, but I very much took the Bawdy view, like right away. Like, guys, don't do this.
Well, I'm because I run the Monero group on Simplex. And Monero is one of the largest groups on Simplex. This is one of the groups that they're targeting for the purchase to be able to use their servers. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to use their servers. I'll just run my own. So that's irrelevant. But they have a group for group owners. So this came up long before it hit Twitter. And for months and months and months, we've been asking them how come they won't implement the ability to transfer, like say on your profile, you put your Monero address on your profile, then you could hit the attach button, you could send somebody money without having to ask them to send you their Monero address. You could use this for any crypto address. And they've been avoiding cryptocurrency like intentionally for forever. So when they came and they said that they're not going to accept Monero, they're going to use a smart contract to accept other cryptos to have like these vouchers. Their reasoning for it isn't anything to do with smart contracts or anything like that. It's regulation. They don't want anything to do with money, with currencies, with fiat, with anything. And I'm like, but that's like the definition of money laundering. Like their solution to not accepting money and accepting vouchers that people have to pay for money is still accepting money. It's just hiding the fact that you're accepting money. So I don't understand what they're trying to do with it, because it doesn't make sense. Like them saying, and the biggest reason a lot of people in Monero Twitter are not happy with the way Simplex is responding is because one of the first things Simplex said was money can't be private legally. Like that was a quote from them. And I was like, excuse me, what do you mean you can't have private money? Have you never heard of cash? Like, have you never heard of like debit? Like money is private by nature. Like Bitcoin and these other currencies aren't private, but they're not money by our definition. And they were basically saying Monero is money and Monero is not legal. And I'm like, what do you mean it's not legal? Like, well, you can't buy it on any exchange. I'm like, maybe not where you are, but that doesn't make it illegal. It's not illegal in the European Union. It's just not regulatorily friendly to the exchanges out there, because regulators are pushing exchanges to not allow Monero to survive. It has nothing to do with what's legal and what's not legal, because Monero is perfectly legal. They just don't want you to be able to buy it on an exchange because it threatens their central bank digital currency. And Simplex is supposed to be a platform that is not bending over like WhatsApp or any of these other pseudo private platforms. But in the same vein, they're basically saying that they're going to do whatever they have to do within the law to respect the law. And I'm like, okay, so by that same logic, if a new law or regulation came out that private messengers can't be allowed in the Google Play Store, which is the same thing like saying private currency can't be allowed on Binance in the European Union. Are you going to follow that? Are you just going to stop? Are you going to allow people to portray Simplex like it's a criminal coin, like it's a criminal platform? It's only for criminals. Like, and nobody should use Simplex. We should use some proxy to some other nonsense to avoid you. You understand what I'm saying? It's their whole framing of the situation is basically saying that Monero is bad for the same reason that they're saying Simplex is good. And I'm like, you can't have one, like six in one hand is the same as half a dozen in the other. I'm like, there's no difference between what Simplex.
What does their server infrastructure look like? And are they trying to like fund that? Is that the fundamental problem here?
Yeah, so they have probably like 20 different servers that they run themselves. And then there's a company called Flux that runs probably another 20 for them. And they want people to be able to pay for the servers instead of giving them away for free. They don't want people to use the servers for free. But they also make it easy for you to run your own server. But the problem with that is because it's federated, you have to have it like when you first download the app, you have to have some sort of server in order to, like, there's no way to discover a server. So they want to be able to make it so that tons of people or tons of companies can provide servers and get paid for it. And I'm like, okay, well, if you want people to get paid for it, why can't they just put up a Monero address? Like, it's really that simple. And they're basically saying because it's not legal. And I'm like, what? And they're like, basically, that's the whole argument. It's not about whether a smart contract is better. Their argument for why they're not accepting Monero is because Monero is not legal.
So I saw that comment too, and I thought it was particularly retarded, but at the same time, I thought, maybe it was like, maybe they poorly phrased that, but have they said that a few times? Like, are they reasserting that, or?
Yeah. They doubled down on it over and over again, basically saying like when they brought up the fact that it's not available on exchanges in the European Union. I'm like, it's perfectly available in the States on Kraken. It's not New York. So does that mean that if you're headquartered in New York, all of a sudden you got to tell everybody Monero is illegal? I'm like, it's not illegal because your oppressive regime doesn't allow you to have privacy, which is the same thing like we're talking about with Czech. It has to be the European Union. Yeah, it has to be the European Union. I'm not sure where. Yeah, got to be.
Yeah, so because the problem they're going to run into is that if they're receiving, I can understand their position. It sounds like, I mean, I would like to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they're just like phrasing this poorly, but they're going to run into this problem where if they're receiving Monero and they're going to give vouchers for Monero, how do they translate that Monero into the fiat that they need to run that server infrastructure? You know what I'm saying? Like, how are they going to make that translation?
If I'm running the server, and my server is one of the ones that's being selected and I'm getting paid for it, how am I getting paid in vouchers unless I can turn these vouchers back into cash? So there's no difference other than the fact that they're trying to hide the original source of the funds, which is the whole
about it. Like the people that I've talked to, they did say that they're generally very supportive of the Monero project, but the idea is if they can create that degree of separation, basically like trying to keep financial regulations off of their backs for the purposes of continuing the project, even though
there's nothing illegal about accepting Monero. There's nothing illegal about accepting Monero.
That's
so
true.
There's no regulation. They're not selling Monero. They're not in exchange. They're accepting payment. And I posted from the Bank of Canada on the Bank of Canada's website. It literally says that legal tender is only fiat notes that are printed by the Bank of Canada. Debit is not legal tender. Credit is not legal tender. And in Canada, anything can be accepted as payment as long as it is agreed upon by the two parties, which includes Monero.
One of the things we've seen in crypto in general is a lot of gift cards get sold because that exists in this kind of like area that's not nearly as regulated, right? With all the AML and all that stuff. So people sell gift cards because it's kind of like this end around, this sort of like back end way of getting around a lot of that stuff. And maybe some of their thinking is going along those lines, right? We're like, well, okay, we sell vouchers. It's effectively like a gift card. And then we can avoid this entire set of regulations. Again, I'm trying to help you out here. I'm not saying that's what's the case. I'm just saying maybe.
But then you look at something like Cryptomus, I think is the name of the exchange. They also provide a payment portal for some webs. I've used them before when paying for VPS and stuff like that. Canada just fined them $180 million for not properly doing AML checks. You know what I'm saying? And it's like they're an exchange, but they also just provide payment services. So it's like Simplex is trying to use the smart contract angle as like, okay, well, if Tornado Cash is unsanctioned, like they're not in trouble anymore, the smart contracts are okay. And I'm like, but it doesn't matter if the smart contract is okay. It's about you're paying people with the money that comes out of the smart contract, and it's 100% centralized. It's not like you can take these vouchers and go sell them on an exchange or sell them to your friend on XMR Bazaar. As far as I can understand, there's not going to be a way for you to cash out these vouchers other than through Simplex. I'm like, so you're providing a service and you're allowing people to pay for it in obfuscated money. Like that's laundering. Like if you want to, like I don't understand what I'm not mad at them. They can do whatever they want. I just don't like the fact that they're framing it as we're going to do whatever we have to do to stay within the law. And I'm like, the law is changing every day and it's not changing in your favor. So as long as you're just complying, then Simplex is not what we thought it was.
I mean, I couldn't agree more that the two-step dancing around is not a real solution. However, I'm looking at it like this is probably not a fight worth having, at least in my opinion. But I can see that you have a different take on it, and I don't disagree with you either. That like this may be the time to kind of test the loins of these individuals, and there tends to be a trend in like the software and tech world where just don't come for me first. And it's like, okay, well, like what Bawdy was saying earlier with the Groypers thing, it's like come for me later is still like they're still gonna come for you, like they're still coming. It's not gonna change.
And there's also that saying that's like, when they came for these people, I didn't care. I wasn't one of them. When they came for those people, I didn't care because it wasn't one of them. When they came for me, I was the only one left, and there was nobody there to fight with me. And that's where it's like, okay, well, if Simplex isn't on the same wavelength as far as fighting for privacy, whether it's the current law, and that's the thing. It's not like there's a law against Monero. There's not a law against accepting Monero. Simplex is going above and beyond to appease regulations that don't even exist yet, which is just setting precedent.
And it also reminds me of the Android project being an open source project, but Google became the standard for how that project is being maintained through a combination of funding and development and so on. And now all of the Google dependencies that have infiltrated the entire Android project, and how much time does Graphene spend just undoing that? And I think we're going to end up in the same situation with Simplex if they're not careful, where there's going to be dependency after dependency built around this weird centralized voucher system that I mean, it's definitely too early to tell, but it has the trappings of something like that being put in place.
To be fair, we could have seen this coming because of the fact that it's been VC funded and it's an actual company. So this was obviously going to, or something like this was eventually going to happen at some point.
And not just VC funded, but VC funded by some people that we wouldn't think they would even want Simplex to exist unless they were on the Epstein list.
What they keep saying that they need the smart contracts function, not the money function. Like that's one of the consistent things they kept saying on Twitter. Do you can you speak to what it is that they need the smart contracts for? Like what are they trying to do there? They made it sound like it was an infrastructure thing, but I don't know. What's your opinion?
No, it's more like profit sharing. It's like they're creating a stock and they're paying people in stocks, but the stock is not a stock because they don't want to be classified as that. It's just an arcade token. It's a movie ticket. It's a some way to pay somebody in bottle caps, as if the IRS is going to come after you for the bottle cap value. Like there's still value to these things, unless if there isn't, you're not actually getting paid.
Yeah, this
like if you're
sounds
paying me in something that I can't exchange for goods and services or back into cash, then you're not actually paying me. You're just giving me vouchers.
But there's also obfuscating who's being paid to do what
which is like, yeah, in my opinion, obfuscating who's getting paid for what is like, how are you doing that within the constraints of the law that you're trying to stay within?
Yeah, and at that point, it's like, okay, well, it would make sense to use, for example, even just what's going to be possible with Monero very shortly. But one of the things that I had pointed out is, well, if you're looking for smart contracts and you want to stick with privacy, like, why not start working with the DarkFi project and just like have a plan to implement it?
Because DarkFi is not listed on any exchanges.
Yeah, exactly.
They want they keep talking about Ethereum and the EVM because they can argue in court that it's just a computer program, that it's not a currency, it's not supposed to be a currency, it's just a computer program. They don't want anything to do with currency.
From what I'm reading, like the cool thing about DarkFi is you could even opt into how you're being paid out based on what's in the pool. So what people are choosing to pay with, you could choose how to be paid out within that same pool. Now, obviously, we can't like go out and test that. Well, I guess you could test it right now, but it's just the theory of, if this is literally all about just using smart contracts and you're looking to do the most privacy focused thing, there are options other than just launching your own token. And then now that adds to the burden of maintenance and and then you're going to still have to either figure out exchange rates. And then they were talking about how they plan on burning it when it's used and so on. It's like, okay, how are you regulating the supply then? Is it being generated when you offer the service and then being burned when the service is used, or what?
So overall, you could still just run your own Simplex server, right? Like if I understand that correctly, you can just do it yourself, and there's no need to pay them.
Yeah, absolutely none. So I think two of the largest groups on Simplex right now are the Monero group and the Hack Liberty group. And Hack Liberty already runs their own server. So the chat relay, the super peer thing, it doesn't exist yet. But when it exists, all Hack Liberty would have to do would be to create this chat relay, and put it into their room. So any new user that joins the room would be joining through that chat relay, and it would be using Hack Liberty's server. And there's nothing, they don't have to pay for any of that. So I don't really understand like what it's like. They're trying to see. That's the thing, right? Is the chat relay is a backdoor in its own, because the chat relay sees every message. So if you are running a large private group and you're using Simplex servers and a Simplex chat relay, then Simplex has access to all the messages in your private group. So it's like I don't like the. It seems to me like a lot of the things Simplex is doing is just trying. It seems to me like they almost got in trouble and they're backpedaling from some of the earlier promises they made and are trying to make things compliant and usable at this under the guise of being usable. Because groups are a weak point right now, and their solution to being a weak point is to basically add a backdoor to them with the chat relays that you have to pay for.
If we have to ditch Simplex, where do you think we should go?
Well, I don't think you have to. You don't have to ditch Simplex because you can run your own servers. There's no reason why you have to use any of their infra.
Are they XMPP based?
No, I think they have a similar protocol to Signal, or use some of the double ratchet stuff.
Huh. All right, so we covered Simplex. There was two other things. I think you said Zcash and then
Zcash
some of the technical.
So earlier Spirobel said when you're using the near intense Zashi, that it's similar to just using Bitcoin. But I disagree with that. Bitcoin has better privacy because Bitcoin rotates addresses. So if I have like money in my T address from my wallet that I got from Binance, and I move it to my Z address, I shield it, and then I swap it to something on the near intense, and I get change back. The change goes back to the same address from that Binance knows about that I withdrew from Binance from. And Binance can see all those funds. You can see it on the blockchain that I had a payment from the near intense to my T address. And it's like, this address doesn't change. So it follows you around forever. So unless you manage multiple wallets and multiple wallets, then you're always going to have that problem. And same thing with deposits to exchanges. If anybody ever finds out the address that you use to deposit onto Binance with, then all of your deposits throughout all of the time that you've ever had your account are all public. Like there's, that was one of the reasons years ago I stopped using Zcash, was I had an exchange address and I looked it up on the Block Explorer and I was like, hold on a second, this looks like I've had like 400 Zcash, but I haven't. I've just withdrawn and then deposited Zcash a few times, and then I don't like the fact that you can see every day or the frequency or the times that I'm making these deposits. And who was it? Joel was talking about how it's a skill issue that Zcash is on exchanges and Monero isn't. And I brought up that Zcash isn't on exchanges. Tcash is. Like I don't know any exchanges that support Zcash.
That's great.
and he said Gemini supports Z addresses. And if you go check, Gemini only supports withdrawals to Z addresses. They don't support deposits to them. So I'm like, no, they don't. And say like Coinbase. Coinbase is one of those exchanges that I'm not sure. I don't have a Coinbase account, but I'm pretty sure that they do stuff like they want you to only withdraw to wallets that you own, and they want you to have like designated wallet addresses like that you withdraw to. And they won't withdraw to a Z address. They withdraw to a T address or to an exchange address. And that's the same thing. It's like, why would I want to carry around the same wallet for years and years and years that has all this history on it for anybody that gets this address to view or to like? It's not.
You just got to make a new wallet, bro. Just change your wallet every week.
I've heard a lot of
every week.
I've heard of a lot of exchanges are planning on doing that whole thing where you can only withdraw to addresses that you have confirmed belong to you and no others. By like you have to send a transaction or something from that address, so they'll be able to confirm that you actually own that address or whatever.
Yep. Even years ago when MWeb first came out, Binance put out a blog post, whatever, saying that if you deposit MWeb Litecoin to Binance, that they won't credit it and they won't refund it because, quote unquote, they can't prove where it came from. Really, they're just stealing your money if you send them coins where they can't see your wallet balances. And at the same time, Binance still accepted Monero, so it's funny. Like that's one of those things with optional privacy coins, is that because you give the regulators and whatever the option, they use it. They force Binance to have to be able to see into your wallet. Where Binance is telling it, like CZ wrote in a tweet, He's like, well, I can't tell you anything about the Monero. It's not possible. Like, I can't ask the Monero person to send me their seed. Like, I can't, it's not possible. I can't ask them for that. And HBS, one of the users from Monero, had a proposal for, this is a little bit off topic, but had a proposal for the new balance keys for full chain membership proofs, where people should have the option to opt into that. Because, like, I argue, if all wallets have this balance view key that shows the entire history of the wallet, then regulators are going to start demanding exchanges require that. Like, I don't think there's any way around that. I don't like the fact that there's a feature that I can be forced to reveal basically a T address to
it would
an
create a
exchange.
situation where, like, if you want to interact with an exchange, you'll create a separate account that you only kind of like how we already sort of have. Like, I already do this, right? You use a separate account for your interaction with exchanges, and then you transfer in and out of that account to your other Monero accounts to sort of like create this barrier. So I'd probably do the same thing, right? In this case, if I was trying to deposit onto an exchange, I would basically say, okay, here's my view key for this wallet, but that wallet would never have any activity except for direct activity to the exchange.
Yeah, just like a mining wallet, it would be a separate wallet. So HBS's proposal was to still allow you to create a legacy view key wallet, so that your legacy wallet doesn't even have the balance key. So you can't be compelled to give that up. Either you're compelled to give up the spend keys or nothing at all, because the view key doesn't really help you. But yeah, that's one of the main things I wanted to say was Zcash. And the other was that with the price pumping, and this is a good discussion for you, Bawdy, is Monero doesn't have the ability for people to just raid exchanges. So we can't all just go run to an exchange and start buying up Monero and hop on the pump, and it can't snowball the same way that Zcash can, because it's not available on Coinbase. Right? So say, for example, you're at work and you have 10 different employees, and a couple of these guys have Bitcoin from way back, and they don't have they mess in some other coins, but every now and then they'll go jump on a rally. Well, they can't jump on a Monero rally. Right? Like, I know I have lots of people around me like that, where, like, if I'm talking to them and I'm telling them to buy Monero, I'm basically telling them to buy it off of me, and then I'll go buy some to cover what I had to sell them, because I'm not gonna, it's too much work for me to tell them to create an account on Kraken when they only have one on Coinbase, or they only have one on this other exchange, right? It's too much work for me to tell them to go to download RedoSwap or whatever. They're not like that. They just hold their coins on an exchange, right? They don't do anything non-custodially. They don't spend their coins. They don't, right? So Zcash is allowed to run because it has an easier ability for people to just buy it on an exchange, even if they never plan on withdrawing it. It's the same thing like Dogecoin and a bunch of these other top coins that have no on-chain usage. They're all just traded on an exchange.
It really is a problem. Like, Monero's price would be a lot higher. There would be a lot more people holding, using, storing Monero if it was easier to get a hold of. Like, there's no denying that.
Yeah. So while it looks like delistings haven't hurt us because our price is up, like every time there's a new delisting, the price continues to trend upwards. It would probably be a lot higher if we had the snowball effect of having all the normies pile onto it anytime there's a small rally, because we actually have on-chain usage in real use cases, which is the point of the delisting, if you ask me, is to make sure that when rallies do happen, that Monero can't become viral, that it can't actually take off. So it's always grounded a little bit. It's always, because it's hard for somebody to, for example, go to XMR Bazaar, sell their goods and services, and then pay their bills with it. Right? Where if it was on exchanges, they could use XMR Bazaar, sell it, buy it. They're not really worried about the on or off ramping of it.
That's all friction, and friction is a huge factor in, like, why we still use fiat. Like, that's why, like, the US dollar is just ubiquitous across the world, and it has this extremely low friction. That's how it stays dominant.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why, when going back to Simplex, is why I don't agree with with their take on things. Like one thing that EP said to me directly was that I'm a regulatory denier. I can't remember the exact word he used, but I'm regulation deniers or something like that. And I'm like, I'm not denying regulations. Regulations exist to hurt me and my project. It's not that I'm going against the regulations. I'm not. Like delisting's fine. We make dexes. There's nothing illegal about the dex. But you're basically saying, oh, delisting's okay, stop using it. Like, why would I do that? Like, why would I stop using Simplex because Google Play says Simplex isn't allowed because they don't have backdoors? That doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't live in a world where some 75-year-olds that go to work once a month decide the future for my children.
They don't even go to work once a month now.
I know, but at the same time, we're on Twitter every day debating about whether or not we should do exactly what they say.
Seriously,
I would call it work to go to the Social Security office once a month and collect your welfare, but you know.
Yeah. Standing in line for 4 hours because they have like 3 people working. But somehow somehow they want to collect 15% in taxes, but this, the roads are bad, and it's like, where's all the money going, right? Like,
but, if you want to get girls, you have to go to the store and fill up your grocery cart with a bunch of food. I saw something earlier this week where some chick approached a guy in a store and was flirting with him, and it was because he had a full cart of groceries, so she thought he was rich.
Well, I used to tell people this all the time. It's just like, if you want to find a good girl, you don't find her at the bar, you find her at the grocery store. You find her taking care of business. Because if you're at the club and that's the only time you ever see girls, well, does she cook? Does she clean? Does she, you know what I'm saying? If you're at the grocery store, you look in her cart and all she has is like nothing. Well, then she's not feeding herself or anybody else. She probably doesn't know how to cook or whatever, right? Like, it's like it's a lot easier to find out who a person is by the contents of their shopping cart.
Bro, when I was in college, we used to call it Club Publix, because Publix is like a grocery store. It's like we used to call it Club Publix because it's like that's like where like you meet like half the girls you hook up with is in fucking the grocery store. That was back when we had better family values, though.
I used to do the same
and shit.
There was I lived with 2 guys. They were roommates in a house that I had at the time, and they were like decent guys, and they're like, oh, I just can't find a woman, and both of them were into hiking, and I was like, how you go hiking like 2-3 times a weekend? Just sit down at the bottom of your favorite hiking trail and put up a sign that says, I would normally be hiking right now, but I'm looking for a female hiking partner. And so took me up on it, and both of them ended up with girlfriends. I haven't kept up with them since then, but they were all still together when I stopped talking to them. So, but like, if you're into hiking, go somewhere where hiking happens, and then just make it clear that you're looking for a partner. But if you don't want like a trashy clubber girl, then don't try to find them there.
Exactly. Like, if you go find a girl that you saw at the club every weekend for the last year, then it's like, well, what are you really looking for?
Well, I like coffee and Jesus, so I found my wife at a coffee shop in a church parking lot. So, because I was like, where would the person that I'm looking for be at? And I went there, and now we're married, we have kids, and
Coffee and Jesus sounds like a good podcast. Offren, what do you think about Thorchain adding Monero?
About what? Oh, Thorchain?
Yeah, adding Monero.
If they do it, they do it. But as far as asking Monero to fund it, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. They make way too much money to ask us for anything. They should be donating to Monero, not asking us to provide $250,000 worth of liquidity. Like, if they want to, and that's the thing, is it's like the proposal came because a couple people on Twitter told them to go make a CCS. It didn't come out of genuine interest in doing it. They've had quote unquote genuine interest in doing it for years while backpedaling every time. Like it's, they're just on
Well,
the
I spoke to
bandwagon right
JP on Monero Talk. It sounds like it's pretty serious now at this point. But yeah, no, I totally hear you. They should take their own initiative, which sounds like what they are doing, and they've, according to JP,
Yeah, well, it has to be what they're doing because the CCS is essentially rejected. Like, there's no way that it's going to get approved because it's almost the CCS is almost disrespectful because like Monero has like Perfect Daemon had fixed multi-sig years ago. So multi-sig is usable. It's used by Havano. It's used by XMR Bazaar. Like multi-sig is not vulnerable like it used to be. But in the proposal, they talk about having to design some new multi-sig thing. But we already know that Luke has already done a new multi-sig for full chain membership proofs, the Frost one, and that's already been audited and everything else. So it's like Thorchain's not even paying attention. They're just trying to pretend like it's 2022. Multisig's still vulnerable, and they're pushing a proposal that based off of things that were true 3-4 years ago. And it's like, well, you guys, you haven't asked any questions. You haven't joined any of the matrix rooms or dev meetings or anything like that to ask anybody anything. Like you guys are just pretending like you're going to complete the Haven integration and swap the word Haven for Monero, but you want us to give you $250,000 for it, and it's just ridiculous to me. Where on the other hand, they make plenty of money through their dev fees. So why are they asking us for money?
I hear you.
Like
no, but
Monero being added to Thorchain.
Did you catch the JP interview I did?
Only a short portion of it.
Yeah, so it sounds like the message has been heard, and they're gonna go ahead and add it on their own, which I think is super exciting. Like, because you pointed out, why is Zcash pumping and not Monero? Because Monero can't pump nearly as easily. It's not on the exchanges.
Yeah.
It's hard to pump. We've been talking about that for years, and we've been waiting for Sarai Dex. Any insight into when Sarai might launch? Do you have any insight into that?
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on with that. But Luke clearly didn't like the Thorchain proposal.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? Maybe it'll speed up Sarai if Thorchain is looking like it's going to come out of the gate first.
Some friendly competition, yeah.
Or not so friendly.
I don't know. I'm trying to pose it as it's friendly for me. The more the merrier, please.
Competition is competition. It's good. And so one of the things I brought up a second ago was where I said Perfect Daemon had fixed the multi-sig vulnerabilities. He has a new CCS that's went up a couple of days ago. So he's planning on coming back to help with full chain membership proofs and to fix a lot of the issues that are plaguing Monero at the moment. And like as you can tell by his name, Perfect Daemon, he's like very good at finding and fixing deep-rooted issues. So he's got a new CCS open for the first time in 4+ years.
Okay. Yeah. These issues that are being found in the Alpha Stressnet. What are your thoughts on that?
So some of these issues have existed for so long. Like it's Spackle was I think we're in the lounge, in the Monero Research Lounge, and I brought up a bunch of these issues, and I was like, I don't know why CFB doesn't exploit these. And Spackle's like, well, it's gonna happen now because these chats are logged. And I'm like, well, maybe that'll make us hurry up. And for me, that was partially like me being an asshole, because it's like these are things that like, maybe I'm not supposed to say out loud, but honestly, I don't really care because like you can't just leave them there forever expecting nobody to ever
work that needs to get done. And that, by the way, Doug, that kind of plays into what you're asking about technical debt. It's whenever you keep a project, like you push a project along, you're leaving things unfinished or you're not documenting things or what. And technical debt is just an expression of before we continue, we have to go back and clean something up or something.
Yeah, no, I get that for sure. How bad is this technical debt, and is it just a matter of putting the work in, or are there some things that need to be solved?
there's things that need to be solved. So it's like, and this is Perfect Daemon years ago. He did the multi-sig fixes. He did a bunch of daemon fixes, and then nobody reviewed them. Like they just sat open. The pull request just sat open for like a year. So he came back and he was mad at everybody. Like you're a scammer, you're a scammer, you're a scammer. You accept money to review pull requests. You don't review anything. You accept money to do development, and all you do is add technical debt and put band-aids on stuff. Like he was mad at everybody. He's like, you've got this new space age technology that's total bullshit, and you're taking money from it. And he was mad at everybody. So during that time was when I remember I contacted like Renee and Justin or Berman and Jeffro and a bunch of other people, and asked them all to go and review Perfect Daemon's pull requests. Like clearly what he's saying is true, right? It's like to me, I'm looking at everybody else like, hey, he's angry, but why does what he's saying ring true? Why is everybody out here just ignoring the fact that there's open vulnerabilities for a year? Like everybody's doing their own thing and nobody's doing the work that needs to be done. And Berman worked with, like, I remember Jeffro, Sec One, Renee, Berman, a lot of different people came in and they reviewed the pull request. VT Nerd, and eventually Jay Berman had taken the pull request and addressed a bunch of the review issues and then pushed it and it got merged. But Perfect Daemon still never closed out his CCS, so he didn't get paid for the work. But he was just angry that he had it. It took him coming through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man in order for anybody to do the work. So the problem is after that he stopped pushing new. Yep.
He didn't get paid on the CCS. That seems
he got paid like maybe a month ago.
Okay, but he did get paid.
Yeah. So like over and over and over again, Pausev had me and Pausev had talked, and it's like we have this thing where you don't want people, especially because of what happened with Luigi, where the wallet got emptied. So with the wallet getting emptied, all of these funds were lost essentially, right? So it's like you can't just use Luigi as a bank account. Like you got to take your money when it's time to take your money. But there's a lot of older CCSs that either were unfinished or people had disappeared or whatever. And Perfect Daemon had essentially disappeared, and he would come back under different handles and whatever, but he wouldn't contribute. He wouldn't tell anybody who he was. He would just attack people every now and then leave again. He wouldn't request his money or anything like that. So Pausev had asked me like a few different times, we have to close Perfect Daemon CCS. Like we can't just leave it open forever. It's been like 4 years. And it's like, I was like, but we know he finished the job. You know what I mean? Like we know the money is his. He just needs to collect it. He just needs to send his address so that we can send the money. Right? Like it's not like these other ones where the people did 2 milestones and then disappeared. This was a completed CCS where he left angry. So Pausev had put a notice on the CCS basically saying that, after a certain date, the funds were going to be repurposed. Perfect Daemon had reached out to me and he was like, what is this bullshit? Blah, blah, blah. You guys are trying to give my money away to these scammers and stuff. he was mad. And I'm like, no, like you just need to give me your address so we can send you the money. So we got him paid, and that was all good. But now he's going to do some more work, which is what the new CCS is about. So it's a good thing. He's a good developer. He does really good work. Works very hard. He's very smart. And
that's great, man. We just participating a little bit more in just kind of the Matrix and the Monero Research Lab. Just keeping tabs on those conversations. You really get to feel that we need like 5 to 10 more people. We really do. Just to help the workload.
Yeah. And that's the thing. He's not just just another run of the mill, I know C++. He's like very good. So it's like getting first round pick or something, It's like we got a good guy.
And it is so hard to get good at a programming language. There's so many ins and outs and little just like fine-tuned details and patterns that you have to memorize and like.
Yeah. And like when I say he's good, I mean like, so one of the pull requests was 7760, and the reason it wasn't reviewed was one, because it was a vulnerability. There was no description on it. The pull request title wasn't descriptive, and so people didn't know what they were what exactly they were reviewing. He included tests and other stuff so that you could run the test and see where the issues were, but he didn't explain anything. So when it came time to review, people were mostly, I say mostly, I'd probably say like 4 out of 5 people were wrong. So they would review parts of the code and be like, this is incorrect, or that's not right, this should be done differently, whatever. And Perfect Daemon would just respond like, no, you're an idiot, read it again. Right? Like,
so he's not a commentor? He doesn't like comment his code or anything?
No. Well, no, he because this was a vulnerability, it wasn't like something that you could just openly.
Isn't there supposed to be a way to disclose vulnerabilities that only goes to a certain select group of people temporarily?
Yeah, HackerOne, but so the thing with HackerOne was when he did the multi-sig HackerOne, nobody at the HackerOne understood what he was talking about. So he gave them tests and proof, and they didn't understand what he was talking about. So he had to write the code to fix it and then explain it to Co in order for anybody to understand what was going on. So that pissed him off like greatly, because he's like, what is this? Like, none of you can even confirm what I'm saying is true. Like, I'm the only person here that knows anything about what's going on here. Like, this is a scam, right? Like, no, but for him, he's looking at it like this is a scam. Like, why do I have to come to you people, explain everything to you, and then prove it, and then fix it, and then you guys still don't know what I did or how I did it or what the problem was? Like, this
what
is
was
ridiculous.
The vulnerability? Like, what was the actual problem there?
I don't even know. I'm not throwing shade at anybody that didn't understand it, because I don't know either. All I know is all I know is it had major issues and should have never been used. So he fixed it, and the problem was when he fixed it, because nobody knew what was really going on, we paid for an audit. So we got his code audited, and the audit found a couple issues that weren't issues. So he was also like, the auditors are incompetent. You know what I mean? Like, he was like, this is bullshit. He's like, he should have just paid me to do the audit too. Because he's like, everybody around here doesn't have a clue what's going on, right? And when it came time to do the hard fork for 18.0, he was against including the multi-sig until somebody could prove that they actually knew what was going on, right? And we, bureaucracy, we just voted to add it with an experimental label because, that's the best we can do, right? We can't just keep shipping the old multi-sig, and the new one, the audit passed, and, according to Perfect Daemon, he fixed it. So it's better to push the new fixed one than it is to keep the old broken one, right? So that pissed him off. But with that, he supposedly had an agreement where he was supposed to get paid 100 Monero extra for fixing it, and he never got that money. So that was another one of the reasons why he didn't want to go back to HackerOne. For him, it was just a big mess, and he didn't get the money that he was promised, and he fixed it, and then we shipped code that nobody proved was actually fixed. So he was unhappy with that whole thing. So, and before that, he didn't even have a GitHub account. He would submit code on Matrix. So he would send the code in, like, either through DM or directly in the chat, and other people would post the pull requests for him. And with the new vulnerabilities, it was like
base though too.
Well, yeah, he's totally anonymous. He's not like some other anons where they're somewhat anon. He's totally anonymous. Like his CCS was under the name Anon, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's didn't even have a GitHub
kind of
account.
reasonable that he doesn't want to have a GitHub account. Like they work pretty hard on GitHub to try and find ways to identify you and get you an identity.
Yeah. But so for that CCS, his first one, the reason for it was because the work he wanted to do was too big in scope for somebody else to push the pull request. Right. So it's like Celsta was not like, so Celsta was like, I don't feel comfortable taking these thousands of lines of code and then putting them on a pull request in my name when I don't know what the fuck is going on in this code. Right. So it's like, we're just going to open a CCS for you. So you don't have to take money from HackerOne. It can come from the community. It can, it's your money for doing the work, right? Like, you don't have to explain nothing to anybody. You just do the work and whatever. So we did that CCS that way. And he did the work, and then the work wasn't reviewed. So he just left without accepting payment. Like, he didn't want the money. He was just angry that at the way things work.
Yeah. I mean, understandable. What do you think about Samsung Galaxy Players market-based Monero fee proposal?
So when I was reading it, I was like, I thought it was okay for a little bit, but there was a few things that stood out to me that I didn't like. And that was like, one, the dropping of the minimum fee to basically zero. And two, he had capped the annual growth to 10%. And I'm like, capping the annual growth to 10% is like absolutely ridiculous. Like,
yeah, that doesn't pass the smell test.
Destroy Monero proposal is this? This doesn't make So like, I was like, this makes no sense. Like, so even if we raise the limit right now to 500 kilobytes or to 1 megabyte, you're still capping it to under 1 TPS in the next 10 years. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, we can do more than 1 TPS today. Well, after the StressNet issues are fixed. but capping it to 10% per year is basically saying, don't use Monero, use fucking Bitcoin Lightning.
Yeah.
And in his proposal, he was also saying, this will open the door for layer 2s and whatever. And I'm like, honestly, that's not no.
That's nonsense.
Like, I would rather
nothing opens the door to layer 2s on Monero except for some crazy changes in scripting and whatever.
Well, if you force Monero to only be able to confirm 1 transaction per block, then we're gonna have to use layer 2s. So I'm like, look, we gotta. And my whole thing was, I'm like, the reason for a lot of the scaling issues are bugs or poorly coded, like technical debt, just poorly coded stuff that, in my opinion, some of it should have never been merged because it clearly wasn't reviewed properly. Like, it's just a lot of broken stuff, right? Like,
is this stuff from back 2015, 2016?
Yeah, 2014, some of it. Like there's some code that I've looked at, and I'll go run the git blame to go find out, like, okay, who wrote this, so I can go find the pull request and go see how it was reviewed and how this got merged. And I go look, and it's the initial commit. I'm like, so we've been carrying this around since day one. Like, what the hell? And it's like, it makes sense because Monero launched with a crippled miner. I'm not surprised that it launched with all different parts of the code that were crippled. And some of it seems intentional.
What kind of resources do you think it would take to just completely go through the code, find all of that cruft, and rip it out, replace it, fix it? Like, what kind of resources does that require?
It because of the decentralization of the project, I think that's the hardest part about it. Like, Sec1 said about Perfect Daemon CCS that he doesn't like the Perfect Daemon will rewrite entire parts of the code because it introduces a way to add backdoors and whatever. And I'm like, but I would much rather a rewritten version of this than whatever the hell this crap is. Because this is garbage. Like this is like Monero, ring CT, privacy, whatever, was state of the art, but the foundation was, a lot of it was garbage, right? Like Monero runs and it works, and sometimes I wonder how. Like, it's just so bad in some places. Like, it's this isn't to fund Monero. This is just like, there's a lot of easy wins out there. There's a lot of them. Like,
hypothetically, if all the guys that we trust, they're currently know C++ and they're familiar with the code base, hypothetically, let's suppose we doubled the number of developers that are specifically C++ developers. And we said, okay, all you guys that we trust for code review, that have reputation. You guys are now all code review. Like you're not creating new code. We're hiring an army of fucking coders to fix all this cruft. And you guys are going to review all of it because we trust you. And then we're also going to get like third-party reviews. Is that like in a scenario with unlimited funding, is that something that could potentially work? Because, like you said, there's the problem that it's decentralized. We don't really have enough guys to go through all of that. Like hypothetically, could something like that work?
Yeah. Well, if you look at like Coup Rate, or I don't know how to pronounce it, Coup Rate, they basically did that, but in Rust. So they just took all of Monero, read the code line by line, function by function, and re-implemented it in Rust without all the issues. And that's where they find a lot of the issues, is because when they're re-implementing something, they're like, "What the hell is this? Like this doesn't make any sense." Like, right?
And that's part of the reason
that's where they wrote the Monero book. Yeah,
that's part of the reason I plan on using Coup Rate when it comes out.
I have nothing against Coup Rate. My only issue with it is that it's. I've had developers say to me that they want to switch to Coup Rate from Monero D, and I'm like, "Fuck you!" Like we need more people, not less. Like what the fuck? Like, and it's like Rust has its own issues, like supply chain issues and whatever else. And I think that Monero D, the C++ implementation, should always be the core implementation. I think we need to fix it and fix it properly. I don't think we should be abandoning it for Coup Rate at all. I think it's perfectly fine to have multiple.
Would Coup Rate theoretically help? Like, since they fixed a lot of the stuff from C++, can a lot of that be backported to C++?
Well, because it's Rust, it can't be backported directly. But because when they find the issues, they normally open HackerOne reports, or they'll explain what they had to change in Coup Rate, because they don't want outside observers monitoring the network to be able to tell the difference between Monero D and Coup Rate, because that's a little bit of a privacy issue. So they want Monero D and Coup Rate to be able to communicate without falling out of sync. They want both of them to basically behave similar. So there's been not backports, but there's been a lot of issues that were fixed in Coup Rate that were communicated back upstream so that we could fix them here. But there's also been a lot that aren't. So some, like, occasionally I'll just be reading their issues or pull requests or whatever. And I'm like, what the hell? Why didn't anybody tell us about this? Like you guys found this and didn't tell nobody. But it's all right. But some of the problems, like with Monero D, that aren't present in Coup Rate, for example, are Monero, like this one is fixed on StressNet. If you have a large TX pool, a large mempool, eventually other nodes will send you transactions that you already have, and your node starts to count the size of those transactions towards your transaction pool max weight. So say the max transaction pool that your node's going to store 600 megabytes. Eventually, your node will think it has 600 megabytes worth of transactions in the pool, but it really has 100. And it'll start pruning transactions from the pool, pruning the real ones, until there's only one transaction left. And this is like one of those things that's just like, it was a one-line fix, but it's existed there forever. And it's caught by StressNet, because once you start bringing the transaction pool size up and you sustain it there for a while, every node on the network eventually starts evicting all the transactions from their pool, and then you start getting double spend errors and all sorts of nonsense, right?
Interesting. So hypothetically, with StressNet, a lot of this stuff is going to get found and fixed.
Yeah. A lot of it has been found already. It's just it's one of those things, like, you got to do it in waves. So after you fix these things, you got to run it again to see what else is there, because some of these things are blocking the discovery of other things. So if you can't run it if you can't get it over, let's say, 5 megabyte blocks consistently, then you can't know if there's breakage at higher limits. All you know is that you hit a wall. So
So it's kind of
there's
not exactly fuzzing, but it's y'all are like kind of fuzzing the network at the moment.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you think
Like,
is that going to extend the timeline a little bit for the release of FCMP, like for the actual hard fork date, or is I don't know.
No, I don't think I don't think so. I think that if we didn't fix any of these things, the network would probably break because with or without FCMP, because FCMP isn't really, there's not like the FCMP implementation so far is solid. Like there's been bugs fixed on it, but at the moment the FCMP implementation seems solid. The issue is that the growth of the blockchain is 4 times faster with FCMP. So Monero at today's limit can't handle a 4-time increase in transactions. Like if we increase the throughput of Monero right now by the volume of Monero right now by 4 times, then we're going to start hitting these issues that we've seen on StressNet. And we've seen this before with during that week spam attack where they were spamming low fee transactions and the mempool got big. There was an issue where nodes started crashing, and like the reason for the nodes crashing was we have a very inefficient transaction relay. So instead of, like, let's say all of us here are running nodes, instead of me sending transactions to you and then you sending them to the next guy and then everybody else eventually gets them, you'll send them back to me and then everybody else will send them back to me. So I'll send it to 10 people and then I'll get 10 copies of it back over and over and over again. And this eats up RAM like crazy. So the more peers you have, the worse that this is amplified. And and not just that, but it amplifies your bandwidth. So it's like you'll be doing like hundreds of gigabytes worth of data transfer per day if the transaction pool is large enough, or if the transaction throughput is high enough, which is clearly not good, right? So
we have an XMR chat here. Merriam-Webster tipped $3.39. Merriam-Webster again tipped $3.39. Says, "Oh my God, you converted the one person that knew how to pronounce coup rate. What do you think is more likely, that they meant cup rate to refer to a cup that somehow rates something, or do you think it's a pun on Rust?" I don't fully understand that comment, but I think it's.
I've never thought to myself where this name came from. I just read it and was like, oh, okay. I don't know what word.
If there's a pun on Rust, it's definitely lost on me.
I can tell you one thing, and that's that open source developers have the absolute worst names in the universe. It's like, what the hell is this?
I think coup rate's fine. I think that's a good.
Like, there's a messenger. It's a CWTCH. It's some Dutch word or some
like add me on.
And it's like, what?
I promise you, it's not the worst in the world, because if you live in Alaska, nobody can spell anything. So you'll pass a word that's supposed to. You'll pass a road that's supposed to be called like Vicarious, and it's spelled with like a Y and CK and all that. Like maybe 1 out of 3 letters are the correct letter at that location for saying Vicarious. Or like nothing is spelled correctly. But then the other thing is there's this native language that I think all of 6 people speak, but the government has this weird fetish for naming everything in that language. So like everywhere you go, you can't read or understand what anything is called in this place if you speak English and you can spell correctly. So living here, that's been probably my biggest pet peeve, and I'm like a terrible speller, so it should tell you something. But then on top of that, almost everything is named moose something or salmon something, and this place is massive, so there's just thousands and thousands of things. Like there's probably 50 or 60 companies that are called like Alaska Salmon Company or something. And it's so you can never find, even though there's only like 1,000 businesses in the entire town, like 1/3 of them have the same name. So it makes you appreciate just how much worse the naming culture of the tech community could actually be.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought I was muted. Michael 10 just said that, and bro, you're on the chat here. You can sing out. But he put in the comments, he says cuprate is chemically the opposite of rusted copper. So not rusted copper?
Yeah, I had less coffee today, so I'm just listening, but I'll chime in.
He also
so it is cuprate then?
The Fediverse code base, like as a new repository.
So what? Yeah. No, yeah, I just looked it up, and yeah, cuprate's basically unrusted copper. So it's whatever you want to call that. Yeah.
All right.
Michael Penn had also asked, is Simplex basically a matrix element competitor? And I argue absolutely not. It's more like a signal competitor.
Okay.
I don't think it has the same sort of use case as matrix element.
Fair.
And that's mostly because
they're trying to be like more groupy, you know, like Matrix is. Like they seem to be reaching for this idea of like group dynamics, the way that a lot of people use Matrix and Element, though.
Okay, it's like a little overlap, but different.
What do you think about the Fediverse thing, though?
With regards to yeah, I posted that when somebody else was mentioning about the people that would only post their code on Matrix and they wouldn't actually go on GitHub, which I totally understand, because I mean, it seems ridiculous the fact that GitHub is the largest open source repository, but it's owned by Microsoft. But yeah, there's efforts to basically create a federated GitHub alternative, which would be challenging, but I think theoretically possible.
I'm pretty sure Forge Joe has federation.
Well, that's exactly the Forge Fed is
yeah, he linked it in the chat, and it would be interesting to see like what people who are more commonly using GitHub, like what's the holdup for switching? Is it just because of how much is already on GitHub, or what?
There's a couple things. One is how much is already on GitHub, whether that's the issues, the historical issues, the reviews, and all that stuff. But a major one for the Monero project is the continuous integration. So Microsoft, being the big, massive company that they are, provides, I don't know if it's unlimited, but it seems to be unlimited, continuous integration for open source projects. So Monero runs tests and builds on every pull request, every commit, and every push. And on a smaller platform or a self-hosted one, I would quickly run up a lot of money.
Oh, I see the CIDC with like GitHub Actions.
Yeah. So it basically like,
how are they covering these costs, you know?
Well, on one hand, if you have a private project on GitHub, they limit that stuff severely and you have to pay for it. So basically, how do they cover their costs? Same way that most free services do. You're the customer, you're the product. They scrape your information, they scrape your data. If it's open source, it's free game.
Yeah, freaking Copilot knows how to code with Monero code.
Yeah, because it Copilot reads all of our pull requests and all the every comment, every review, every, you know, they get basically free training for exchange for free compute resources. So it's a, because Monero is such a community project, I don't think it's something that we should care about. You know, if some AI or whoever, AI or some North Korean or some Russian or some American wants to scrape the repo, it's there to be scraped. Like,
as long as the repo is mirrored in other places that are not GitHub, like if it's on, I think it's on getmonero.org, isn't it?
I think it at one point was. I don't know if it's up to date or if it still is. And it was on Synthetic Bird had a Forge Joe instance, but it's down. It was on there too. I'm not sure if it's on Codebird, probably not.
I know,
but everybody has a copy of the source. Like most of the developers have an up-to-date copy of the source code on their computers. It's just the issues and reviews that we don't have copies of.
Right.
We have another
and that's
XMR
like
chat.
Really helpful sometimes. Is if, like, say I'm looking up when some of this bad code was introduced, I can find the commit and find the pull request that it was merged in. I can go to GitHub, I can pull it up, I can see the whole review process from beginning to end. So that's one of the things that's helpful about that versus, you know, if it's just on my computer or if it's somewhere else but I can't find the comments.
Doug, I don't know if you're around, but we have another XMR chat if you wanted to put it up. Well, he's not around. I guess we'll read it anyway. I'll go ahead and read it anyways, just because it's topical to what we were talking about. So System D Lover tipped 0.001 XMR. And he said, Wikipedia says cuprates are a class of compounds that contain copper atoms in an anion, so like a negatively charged plate. The term cuprate itself originates from cuprum, the Latin word for copper. I guess that kind of makes a lot of sense.
We should have an AI bot on here. So we're like, I don't even know what cuprate means. And AI is like, cuprate means.
That would be interesting to have like an AI companion like, trained on a Monero code base. Like he knows all the comments. Like he's just fucking trained on everything Monero, and then can just like sit here and feed us comments. What was that?
Ask the AI.
I was just saying, you basically do have an AI chat bot when Michael 10's on your chat, because like he's always got 3 going on at the same time, and like
yeah. So Cooper, that's actually pretty clever. I wonder if Merriam-Webster here was that. I wonder if that was Kaya, or if that was Luke, because that's that's a pretty deep understanding there of what that is, and making a pun on Rust there. That's pretty good.
Well, the name itself is also a pun because he's constantly like explaining definitions too.
Wait, say what now?
Like it's almost all of his comments are like explaining the definitions of things, and then he's using the name Merriam-Webster.
Webstore. I didn't even catch that. Ooh. Wait, is it Webster or Webstore? Fuck.
It's supposed to be, but Webstore is what he's got there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, he comments actually pretty regularly, assuming it's the same person.
See, I'm too OG. I would use the name Daniel Webster. Like let's just give credit where credit is due.
I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, there's 2 Websters out there, aren't there? Is Daniel the OG? Is he like the Socrates to Plato?
Yeah, and he did a lot of the heavy lifting. In fact, if I understand correctly, he was the first guy to do a modern English dictionary. And he did like, to this day, it would be basically like 90+% of all of the work that has ever been done when it comes to English dictionaries. It was like pretty much all he did with his life, and any free time he had was to try to compile an English dictionary.
Damn. Imagine having the power to decide how words would be spelled and defined for hundreds of years.
His whole motto was that he was trying to prevent anyone else from doing it. Like he's totally like the Lysander Spooner of language. He was like, words mean.
So he's the reason why we have words that have spellings that make absolutely no sense.
Actually, I have an entire I'll try not to rant on this one, but English is an incredibly interesting language because we've stolen from everywhere across the world, and not all languages. Most languages don't actually do this, but for whatever reason, English is. I guess we have enough unique sounds like diphthongs and all that stuff to reasonably capture all of these words from across the world and just integrate them into English. And there was most of the Latin languages have some kind of governmental body that originated 500+ years ago that decided we will be the official repository of what is true, Spanish or French or whatever, right? They've got, so it's official. Like anything that wants to come into the language has to be approved through bureaucracy. And we all know how that goes, right? Like you're not going to have an evolving, adaptable language when there's bureaucracy like that. But England never did that. English never had some kind of centralizing body. So the language is just incredibly adaptable. And again, it's like the mechanisms that we have are actually really, really useful and adaptable.
Well, I wouldn't really say that they're adaptable. I would more say that there's no rules. Like you can pretty much, there's there's certain rules, like, like I before E except after C, but those rules get broken.
Yeah.
like
Yeah, there's some good memes
like,
on that one.
Yeah, like there's some, I don't know whether it's Facebook Reels or YouTube Shorts or whatever, where there's a guy that stands at a chalkboard and he's like, "How do you spell?" And he puts this word up. He's like, "Okay," and so for this word, how do you spell that word? And then they spell it the same way, and he's like, "No, you see, it's because." He's like, because it's different, you see? Like, okay, so there's other one that rhymes like that.
Captured in our fucked up spelling is actually the roots of these different words. And phonetically, it can be slightly confusing, but like in the written language, it's actually really powerful because it gives you the indication of where that word came from. It gives you the indication of the etymology of that word. It's just fucked up enough to keep you on your toes. Like English is the ability to use English in a very simple manner where you can communicate simple needs is actually pretty low. Like it's a very accessible language in that sense. But the mastery of English is something that really takes an entire lifetime to develop. And it's like languages like German and Russian that are very logical, extremely well structured. In some ways, they don't provide enough of these curveballs to like keep you on your toes and keep you thinking and evolving. And it's like German, they'll just put a whole bunch of compound words together to form some new phrase, but English will just be like, no, feng shui. That's great. We'll just use feng shui, or any other word that we might steal.
By the way, I totally dropped.
Or makeup.
Webster was the senator. I meant Noah Webster, and I have no idea why it took me this long to remember that it was actually Noah Webster. But one of the reasons why I was saying like he's kind of like a Lysander Spooner type of guy was he was also like super involved in the abolitionist movement. And then he started to argue with the abolitionist movement that if you didn't like openly oppose it, that you were like complicit in slavery. And he was like, you guys are being like word Nazis. And so it's just really interesting because even though he was like more anti-slavery than anyone, he also thought that like forcing people to take a position was its own form of slavery. Like you were basically governing people's speech, and that was almost, if not worse. And yeah, he was just really, really into the concept of words mean things. And he got so obsessed with precision that's where a lot of this work came from.
I think there's a lot of truth to that. Like people do use words in ways that are designed to obfuscate and deceive, even though like they might on some level be able to claim that they were technically using using language correctly or whatever. And yeah, words do mean things. Words have particular meanings and connotations. They have obviously their Webster definitions, but they've also got their colloquial usage. And the way in which you deploy those is the means by which we communicate. And a lot of people use that to communicate deceptively. And I kind of like I can resonate with that concept a lot. Not necessarily that we have to have a central repository of what all the words mean exactly necessarily, but
well, he actually even chimes in on that too, where he had suggested that when colloquial uses of expressions and words and so on, and that was the whole idea of having like definition 1, definition 2, definition 3, and also like explaining where it came from, so you could make determinations in context of law versus social situations, which ones are appropriate to use when. And kind of the underpinning of having like 1, 2, and 3 and so on was that there would be limits on how many colloquialisms you could use in something that requires precision, like law. And if I can remember, I could be wrong about this, but I think the whole Black's Law thing kind of like it's in its modern implications emerged from what he was suggesting there. And then I love the fact that English is really like broad in scope. And if you want something precise, I mean, that's what Esperanto is for, right? But it would be a lot harder to write certain kinds of music, for example, in Esperanto than it is to write in English, or like all the cool things you can do with poetry or the ways that you can point to something, like with synecdoches in English, that the way that you would do it breaks down in almost every other language when you try. And that's another reason why I love certain Asian languages. So like with Japanese and Chinese, the way that you can use words creatively, because the characters themselves carry their own unique weights and their own unique definitions.
It's kind of funny because when you get like English as poetry, and I'm assuming this happens with other languages too, there are things that just do not translate right. The thing that comes to my mind first is Genie in a Bottle, where it's like, she's like, you got to rub me the right way. That does not translate well into like Spanish or whatever, but it's like a central part of the song in English. You have to have it, and it just does not work.
Shit, man, what kind of music you listening to? The old stuff, huh? From the 90s.
Heck yeah. Christina Aguilera.
We have XMR chat from Sheldon. He tipped 0.002 XMR, and he said, I just started listening to the live stream, and it's cool to hear offering XMR on the live stream. Agreed.
Like a celebrity around here, man.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie, on Twitter for the longest time, I never like really examined your avatar, and it always kind of looks like, I don't know, a boat or something, like a sailboat. And then you came on the stream one day, and I was like, oh shit, that's like a fucked up clown. Like that's like Halloween year round.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like, you know, I might call somebody a clown, and they're not even paying attention to the fact that my profile picture is a clown.
Is that like your own artwork?
No, it belongs to somebody else on Twitter.
I'm going to make the excuse that I'm blind, and so couldn't tell what the heck that thing was anyway. I was like, I don't know what that is.
Yep, it's a clown.
He clowning.
It kind of reminds me of that pirate anime. I don't remember which one, but you know, the pirate villain, and why can't I remember the name of it? But it was really popular for a long time.
One Piece?
Yeah, One Piece. That's what it was.
Yep. That's where it's from.
I thought so.
Yep. Like, it looks familiar. I'm like, it is familiar. It's like you said, it's a pirate anime. That's where it comes from.
All right, boys. Well, it's hitting about 1 o'clock here. I think I'm going to take off and wish you all a wonderful Saturday. Hope you had a happy Halloween.
All right, there, Bawdy. Actually, it's getting pretty close to the end. It should be what the end of the stream is, too. It's 3 p.m. here. So if Doug's around and you want to end it.
I'm chiming in right now. Yeah, we could end it here. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Offrin, for jumping up today. Sorry I didn't get to engage with you more, but I was listening in the background.
No, it's no problem.
Yeah, man. Greatly appreciate it. Obviously, join us anytime. You're always welcome up here on stage. We do these shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern, guys. See you all next week. Adios.
God bless everybody.
Have a good week.
All right, take it.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube, ODYSEE, Rumble, Twitch, iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on X or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.